10 o'clock.
It is 10, but I'm still waiting for the live stream operator to let me know that the live stream has started. So I've contacted him.
I think Piers Morgan's still on there, Fred.
Yeah, he would be.
I can confirm, Chairman, that the meeting is now live.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to today's virtual meeting of the East Sub-Area Planning Committee. Today's meeting is being live streamed to the public via Microsoft Teams and is being recorded. When members are invited to speak, they may choose if they wish to use their video, preferably to use it. If the Council's live stream fails during the meeting and we cannot start the proceedings, I will adjourn the meeting so that access can be restored. If the issue cannot be resolved, I will halt the meeting and the remaining business will be concluded at a future time and date. As I call members to speak, I will remind you to switch on your microphones. If for some reason you cannot be heard, the democratic officer will advise accordingly. The vote will be taken by roll call and the result announced by the Democratic Services Officer. Members must be present for the duration of the discussion of each planning application in order to vote. We have public speakers at the meeting today, and they will be joining the meeting by telephone. Where a member has declared a non-registrable interest, a disclosable pecuniary interest, or an interest by virtue of any trade union membership, they must leave the virtual meeting. Their departure will be confirmed and they will be invited to rejoin the meeting at an appropriate time. Members of the committee who wish to speak on an item should indicate by using the raise your hand function, which will be monitored by the Vice Chairman, Councillor Adrian Parsons. Any members not on the committee or unable to use the raise your hand function but wish to ask a question, they should indicate by typing an X in the chat box. Before we start today's meeting, I will ask the Democratic Services Officer to ask the committee members to confirm they are present and state their electoral division and to confirm the officers who are also in attendance.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. I will now call your name. Please confirm your name and your electoral division. Councillor Craker.
Yes, Councillor Nick Craker for Liskeard North Division.
Thank you. Councillor Foote.
Good morning, Jesse Foote speaking, Cornwall Council for the St Germans and Landulph Division.
Thank you. Councillor Flashman.
You know, why would he moan like...
Councillor
Good
Flashman.
morning.
Yeah.
Why
Good
would
morning.
he...
Jim Flashman, representing Kellybray, St Dominic and St Mellin Division. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Greenslade.
Fred Greenslade, St Denis and Nanpian Division.
Thank you. Councillor Holly.
Good morning, Councillor Holly, Saltash East.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan.
Barry Jordan, Tintagel Division.
Thank you. Councillor Long.
Good morning, Councillor Long, Callington Division.
Thank you. Councillor May.
Good morning, Councillor May, Penryn West.
Thank you. Councillor Mould.
Good morning, Carol Mould, Cornwall Councillor for St Mimber and St Endelion.
Thank you. Councillor Pascoe.
Good morning, Councillor Pascoe, Liskeard West and Dog Wars.
Thank you. Councillor Pugh.
Good morning, I'm Councillor Richard Pugh from the Trelawney Division.
Thank you. Councillor Tamlin.
Morning, Sam Tamlin, Saltash West.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons.
Hello, Adrian Parsons, Cornwall Councillor for the Old and None Division and Vice Chairman today.
Thank you. And Councillor Butters.
Good morning, Chris Batters, Councillor for Lenivett Blisland Division.
We also have Councillor Hawkin with us. Councillor Hawkin, can you identify your electoral division, please?
Good morning, Sally Hawkin, Liskeard East.
Thank you. And also Councillor Lennox Boyd is with us as well. Can you also say that, please?
Good morning, I'm Sheila Lennox Boyd, representing Saltash North.
Thank you. I can confirm that the following officers are also present. We have Davina Pritchard, Development Management Group Leader, Amy Williams, Senior Development Officer, Richard White, Senior Development Officer, Vanessa Ormerod, Lawyer, and myself, Rowena Brebner, Democratic Services Officer. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Rowena. Can we have any apologies, please?
Thank you. Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Eddy and we have Councillor Foote substituting, and also apologies from Councillor Burden.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, declaration of interest. Anyone wishing to declare a declaration of interest, please? Yes, Jane.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I declare an interest on item 4.2.
Fine. Councillor Craker and Nick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to declare an interest in item 4.2 by virtue of my membership of the working group that brought these plans forward. Thank you.
Thank
Chairman,
you.
Councillor Pascoe, identify the nature of her interest, please, as well.
Yes, sorry, the same.
Let's come back to even if you...
Yeah, I'm a member of the working group. I'm also a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and I have commercial property in the town.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons, Adrian.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'd like to declare an interest in item 4.4 due to the fact that it's my parents' application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No other declarations? No. In that case, if we can move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. They've been circulated. You've all had the opportunity of going through them. Can we have a proposer and seconder with regards to them being an accurate record, please?
Proposed, Chairman.
That was
Councillor Long.
Councillor Long and Councillor Flashman proposing and seconding. Can we have a roll call?
Chairman, yeah, before we go to the vote, I omitted to put in the minutes under item 4.2, at the very end of that minute, Councillor May left the meeting. So a sentence should be added that noted that Councillor May left the meeting during consideration of the above item at 12:49. If that could also be put into the minutes as well, if the proposer and seconder are happy to include that, that would be really helpful.
Andrew and Jim, you happy with that?
Very happy.
Fine. In that case, if we can go, Adrian, I see your hand is up.
Sorry, Chairman. Yeah, it was just to raise the issue that Rowena's just put forward to you.
Thank you. If you could take your hand, lovely. Thank you. Okay, across to you, Rowena.
Thank you. If you could indicate if you're in favour of the minutes as stipulated. Councillor Craker.
For.
Councillor Foote.
Abstain.
Councillor Flashman.
For.
Councillor Greenslade.
For.
Councillor Holly.
For.
Councillor Jordan.
Abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay, Councillor Long.
For.
Councillor May. For. Councillor Mould.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
For.
Councillor Pugh.
For.
Councillor Tamlin.
Abstain.
Councillor Parsons.
For.
And Councillor Batters.
For.
Thank you. That has been carried, Chairman.
Thank you very much. In that case, we now move on to item number 1 on the agenda, which is PA 20/03575, land west of Dobwalls Primary School, Dobwalls, and presenting it is Davina Pritchard. Across to you, Davina.
Thank you, Chairman. I will just get my screen shared with you all a second.
Thank you.
If you could tell me when you can see that, please.
Yep, I can see it up and running. Lovely. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So this is an outline application for a rural exceptions development on the edge of Dobwalls. The scheme is for up to 24 new dwellings, and all matters are reserved except for access. Before I move on to the main points of the presentation, I would just like to respond and clarify some points that have been raised by Dobwalls Parish Council and Councillor Jane Pascoe in response to the committee report. Firstly, paragraph 14 of the report includes an indicative block plan for the development. To clarify, that plan isn't up to date in relation to recently constructed housing development at Lantoom Way. So the surrounding housing development on the plan isn't particularly up to date, but I do have up to date plans on the presentation, so I will point that out to you. And the second point relates to the planning history for the site. You'll note that paragraph 82 of the report suggests that there have been no previous applications for residential development on the site. I would confirm that that is a mistake. The report should have read, there are no previous planning permissions in respect of the site. There has indeed been a similar planning application for a rural exceptions development, but that application was withdrawn. Apologies. So my apologies for that error. So moving on to the main presentation. The key issues that are set out within the committee report relate to the provision of affordable housing, the impact of the development in terms of highway safety, education infrastructure, public open space requirements, the impact on the character and appearance of the area, ecology, biodiversity net gain, the impact on neighbour amenities and drainage issues. So here we've got a location plan of the site for you. You can see the site just outlined in red. So this road here is the old A38 running through Dobwalls. This highway here leading to the south goes to Julo. The application site comprises a field located directly opposite the primary school, which is just here. And you can see the nature of surrounding residential development. So to the north here, we have surrounding neighbouring residential development. We have a farmstead with some converted buildings at Treheath Farm. And down here to the southeast of the site, we have the Lantomb Meadow development. So contrary to the block plan shown on your actual committee report, this part of the Lantomb development has now been built out. So here's a closer plan for you. Just to show you the site in context, for reference, there is a public right-of-way which runs down this route just here, leading to the Treheath Road public open space and residential development. And here's an aerial photograph of the site for you. So it comprises undeveloped agricultural land. So as part of the development, the proposed access is for consideration. The scheme proposes a new access off this site boundary here. So the site access would be directly opposite the primary school. As part of the proposals for the site access, the access would benefit from visibility displays in both directions of 45 metres. And this plan shows the indicative off-site improvements that are proposed as part of the development. So the proposal includes the provision of 2 additional pedestrian crossing points here and here. These would be uncontrolled pedestrian crossing points. And here's an indicative site plan for you. So here we've got the proposed access coming in. Pavements are proposed along the site frontage here and here. These areas here that you can see on the plan are proposed pick-up and drop-off points for the school. So they would essentially operate as sort of lay-bys. And you can see the general arrangement proposed, but just to be clear, it's an indicative site plan only, as matters of layout, appearance, landscaping and scale are reserved for future consideration. You can see the scheme also includes an area of amenity space provision, just to demonstrate that that could be provided on the site. So moving on to the photographs for you, this shot is taken from the Julo Road. The site comprises this area in here. You can see it there against the Treheath residential estate. The new access would be located up here. And the primary school, for reference, is opposite, on the opposite side of the road, just where those people are in the photograph. So here I'm stood at the site, or roughly at the proposed site access, and I will pan across the site shortly. So the public footpath I mentioned earlier runs the other side of this lane here, which leads down to Treheath Farm. And then just panning across for you, you can see the site hedgerows. So just to be clear, the proposed site doesn't take up the whole of the field. As part of the proposed development, a new hedgerow is proposed, which would separate the development from the remaining part of the field in this area here. And then panning down again. And a view down the road towards the new Lantomb development, which is just here. and looking across at the primary school and then back up the road towards the old A38. This shot is taken from the near to the football club where the railway bridge is, and the application site is this green area here. And then we've got some shots taken from Tremabe Lane. So in this case, the site is located the other side of that hedgerow. And here's a slightly longer distance shot from you along Tremabe Lane. So you can see there is the primary school. So the application site is this area of grass just here. So the proposal would provide an affordable housing-led rural exceptions development in an area where there is an identified need for affordable housing. This is considered to weigh heavily in favour of the proposal. The proposed access arrangements are considered safe and suitable, as confirmed by your highways officer, and the proposal includes some improvements, including 2 new pedestrian uncontrolled crossings to the primary school and parking spaces which are proposed to be dedicated for school pick-up and drop-off. Education contributions to secure additional school places at Dodwell's Primary School can be secured via Section 106 agreement, as can the delivery of on-site and off-site public open space contributions and biodiversity net gain. Now, there are some negative impacts of the development. This includes the loss of Grade 2/3A agricultural land and also the urbanisation of this undeveloped agricultural land, which would have a degree of impact on the character and appearance of the area. However, the loss of agricultural land is considered relatively small at 0.8 hectares, and the harm to the surrounding landscape is considered to be tempered by the fact the proposal will be seen against existing residential development and built form. So on balance, and after careful consideration, the negative impacts are considered to be outweighed by the positive impacts of the provision of an affordable housing scheme where there is an identified need for affordable housing. So the application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions and subject to the prior completion of a Section 106 agreement to secure the planning obligations set out. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Davina. Our first speaker this morning is Sean Jackson. Are you there, Sean Jackson, please?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you. You have 3 minutes to explain or go through your objections on this application. If you can hold on at the end of it in case there are any questions or clarification purposes. Okay, so when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. My name's Sean Jackson. I have been a resident to development of southeast of Dodwell School since March 2017. I have the following objections to the proposal for the 24 units to the land. Firstly, is the safety of the school children. From the plans, and it's already been mentioned, the developer is intending to have the development entrance-exit junction virtually directly across from one of the school gates. This will add further risk to the parents for them and the children to negotiate getting to and from school safely. This does not even take into account any issues the construction phase of the building may bring. General road safety. The pictures that have been shown here this morning do not truly reflect the congestion and how busy the road is to the residents. And the current calming measures in and around that area are not particularly well laid out and are at times difficult to navigate. This is due to the number of vehicles using the road and the lack of parking near the school and the spa further up the road. This is certainly true at the school peak periods during start and finish times. The subject of road safety is a regular angry discussion point on Dodwell's community social media, and they have included near misses that people feel they have experienced. The addition of a junction in the middle of traffic calming measures will only exacerbate the problem, with residents of the new development trying to gain access onto and off the Jaloo Road. Excuse me. As previously mentioned, the road congestion. Jaloo is highly congested, especially in the areas of the spa and the school, certainly at peak times. Due to the lack of parking in the area, parents are already parking where they can, which includes on junctions. Should the developer's junction be added, this is a further reduction in parking and drop-off points near the school. This congestion will further worsen as there is almost certainly be an increase, or at the very least, 24 vehicles belonging to the residents of the new development. As a resident on the site to the southeast of the school, I regularly use that road. And at times, I generally plan my journeys around school times. The need for further development. It would be fair to say the residents of the village are becoming development weary. And I have been involved in a number of conversations where people cannot see the requirement for a new development, when there have been 4 major builds in the
30
village.
seconds remaining.
And 1 industrial site and 3 industrial homes. The community sentiment in reflecting a number of comments made on this application and others in the area. If you compare the 8 public comments made for the application back in 2014 for my site to the objections, the 77 objections, this shows there is a great level of discontent towards this development in Dobwells. This is reflected on social media, where numerous disgruntled posts are raised on to why is there a further development being considered in the village. I think it would be fair to say there is an air of...
I'm going to have to cut you off there. The 3 minutes is up. If you can hold for a moment. Are there any questions for clarification purposes, please, of the speaker? Councillor Jordan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jackson. You obviously visited the school. Can the school take any more children? That's the first question. The second question is, if not, is Liscar Primary School the nearest school to that? And is it within a 3-mile distance so the children would have to walk on the old A39?
I'd just like to point out, firstly, I don't have children, but gauging what I'm hearing from people and on social media, the school is at full capacity. And the school, has not, as far as I'm aware, hasn't got the ability to expand. So the answer to your first question is no. And the second question, that is quite a distance for children to be going to Liscar, but I do believe Liscar is the primary site.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Sorry, Jim? Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Mr. Jackson, I understand that the build at the southwest side of the school hasn't finished yet. What sort of traffic problems were there when they were actually building the 2 sites that have recently been built?
I'm sorry, you broke up there. Could someone relay that, please?
I said traffic congestion. How bad was it when they were building the 2 sites? Bearing in mind that the southwest site is not finished yet. It's the traffic congestion I'm interested in.
The traffic congestion is quite bad in that area due to the fact that people are using it to get down to Delu and Lou itself. And also, I'm led to believe there's a lot of people bringing their children in from outside the village, from other areas. So that's adding to the parking and number of vehicles on the road.
Okay, thank
I
you.
hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I think I may stand corrected, but I think I saw some reference in the application with regards to possible additional contributions to the school, which may have been involved in the first question asked by Councillor Jordan. If there are no other questions, I thank you very much, Mr. Jackson, for coming on. And our next speaker is Councillor John Dunn from Dobwells and Trewidlan Parish Council. Are you there, Mr. Dunn?
Hi, it's Angela, the meeting producer. I was picking up some background noise from Councillor Dunn, so I had to mute him. So Councillor Dunn, if you can hear me, you need to press *6 on your telephone and that will unmute you.
Hello, Councillor Dunn, are you there? Hello, Mr. Dunn, are you there?
Oh, I am, yes. Can you hear me?
I can now. Yeah, that's clear, nice and clear.
Okay, thank you.
You have 3 minutes to say what you wish to say, and we will give you a 30-second warning before the end. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Okay. Dobwells and Trewidlan Parish Council are not opposed to further development in the future, providing we have the infrastructure in place to cope with it. Currently, the school is more or less full and it's landlocked, and there isn't any sort of area that it could develop for future classrooms. That was confirmed by the admissions team on, I think, Thursday. We already have applications that have been approved for a further 22 houses around the village. And, we're getting to a point where I think Mr. Jackson has already said that the road past the school is horrendous at times. The site of the proposed application has been identified in the emerging neighbourhood plan, which I may add would have been completed by now if it weren't for the COVID-19 restrictions. And this site has been identified as open space stroke the green edge of the village for the future after consultation with the public. The draft neighbourhood plan is actually on the Dobbles and Trewidland Parish website, as is the landscape character assessment. This site has had several applications over the last 2 years. The first of which, the pre-app, was for 311 houses, which would encompass the whole 6 fields, which, as I say, would totally be unacceptable, as is the existing application. The police identified the road as being a problem for safety for the children and members of the public, and this would only be sort of exasperated by, any future development on that road, which is used as a major sort of cut through from Loo to the A38 and further afield. I've lived in the village for 35 years, and it's become progressively busy and dangerous to try and get up and down that road. I think there were 77 objections on the website against this proposal from members of the public, which speaks volumes. The school, which I think has a capacity of 210, has the odd one vacancy per class, but admissions have told us last week that they already have applications in to further fill the school. We're not, as I say, we're not objecting to any future development should the sustainability be improved, but we certainly wouldn't be looking to support this site in the future, bearing in mind the neighbourhood plan and the things that it's identified for the future.
3 minutes, Chairman.
I'm afraid that's your 3 minutes, Councillor.
Okay.
If you can hold the line a moment for any questions or clarification, I can see there are a couple coming up. Can I just first of all myself ask your neighbourhood plan? You previously mentioned how there were about 6 fields in some pre-app some while ago. Do they actually take? They take in this one field, I take it, but how many of the other fields might they take in?
Oh well, on the opposite the school, there are 3 fields this side of the valley, and it goes down to a stream, and then up the other side there are a further fields which the original pre-app came in for 311 properties, encompassing the whole, in effect, the whole valley.
So they are in fact, those particular fields, all of them are in fact part of the neighbourhood plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine, thank you. I have a question now from Councillor Long. Andrew.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Good morning. Very quick question. You mentioned, I'm looking at the map now of the area we're looking at. With those other fields, are you talking about the fields that basically anywhere to the north of the railway line as it curves round? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, basically, if you go down past the school on the right-hand side is the field in question, which has another field below, which is opposite the football field. And behind that, there are further 2 fields, which then go down to the stream in the valley. And basically, they all go down to Tremabe Lane, which is a single track lane, which there's no possibility of any access going out onto that lane. Emergency vehicles wouldn't be able to access it.
And that's the lane that goes right by the railway line bridge?
Yep.
Okay. The next question I had for you is, you mentioned that you believe that the Dobbles Community Primary School is, well, we've been said in our notes that it's 96% capacity. Is there room for development of the primary school to the land to the east, which I think is Highwood Park? There's a field there right behind the primary school, or is that being used? Because
no,
that's not brilliant.
That field in question is owned by what was Lantoon Farm, and I believe Wayne Homes have an option on that field. That is the only one that's closed, but there is also a road that runs behind the school, between the school and that field, which services Lantoon cottages. So there would be, if you were, it would cause problems, basically.
Okay, and the final question is, for this particular piece of land, is there an alternative site that the Dobbles Parish Council, Dobbles and Truro Parish Council have looked at, that could provide an alternative location given the agricultural classification of the land?
Not on this side of the main road. I mean, it was identified going back as far as when we did the parish plan, that we would prefer building to be to the north of the village, which has got a natural boundary of the bypass.
Yeah.
And
lovely, that's great.
I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Thank you very much.
If you could still hold, Mr. Dunn, please. Councillor Craker, next.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Dunn, I just want to clarify the status of your neighbourhood plan. So we're told that neighbourhood plans sort of build weight the further along the process they are. But it sort of probably answered it in your last answer. But by the sounds of it, your neighbourhood plan is quite advanced. It's just been held.
Well, it would have been to referendum sort of by now, had it not been for the COVID-19 pandemic. The draft copy, which we have sent everything down to Cornwall Council for scrutiny. We've now got the draft copy up on the website, the parish website, and also there's a landscape character assessment which clearly identifies those fields as open space for the future. As I say, it would have been all completed by now had we not had the issues, but hey ho, we've got to deal with it as is.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I think it's important just to understand how far along your neighbourhood plan is. Thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No other. Councillor Hawley. Derek.
Thank you. It's on the same one, Mr. Chairman. Could I ask you, Sir Councillor, have you got the reply back from Cornwall Council to say that the draft copy was acceptable?
We basically sent all of the various policies, etc., to Cornwall Council, who made comments, and we've made the amendments that were recommended from the various parties. We've now put together the draft, which is up on the website, and I believe that Cornwall Council people that are dealing with it are happy with the content. We're just now basically waiting to send out a notification to all the members of the parish showing the content and asking for any sort of further questions subject to okay.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor.
If you could still hold, you're obviously a popular man this morning, Mr. Dunn. We have a question from Councillor Greenslade now. Fred.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm referring to page 27 of our report pack, and point 39. And after giving a discussion from the Affordable Homes team, they're saying on the basis of identified affordable housing need in the area, there is considered sufficient need to support a development of this scale. Now, I just wondered if the parish council representative agreed with that or was a bit sceptical about it.
No, I don't agree with it for a number of reasons. The first being, I've already mentioned that we have 22 applications approved in the village and yet to be built. Also, Dobbles and Truro Parish Council would probably cease to be from May of next year, when these figures are for the joint parish, if you like, whereas we've had over 200 houses built in the last 3 or 4 years. The actual village of Truro, which is a large rural area, has had a handful. So I think the village is actually at stagnation point. We've had probably more development in our little village that was than most major towns, but we don't have the infrastructure to cope with it.
That's fine, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair, Adrian, I can't see any other hands up. Am I correct?
You're correct, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much in that case, Mr. Dunn, and well detailed in your replies and your presentation. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much for your time.
You can carry on watching this on live stream as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, of course, to the divisional member, Councillor Jane Pascoe. Jane, you have 5 minutes, but at which time I should be looking for you to wind up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I agree with the Parish Council that the adverse impact of granting this application permission would significantly outweigh the benefits and would undermine the foundation of the Dogwalls Emerging Neighbourhood Plan, which has been stalled due to COVID-19. Dogwalls has not said no to development. It has taken delivery of 250 houses in the last few years. Rapid overdevelopment of the village has put a massive strain on the infrastructure and available services. It has also changed the rural village status to an urban sprawl. There are real planning reasons to object to this application, and 77 villagers have written in. The location of this site is unsuitable. The site is outside the permitted development boundary of the neighbourhood plan, as stated in their policy H01. This development would encroach into the countryside and would significantly erode the strong character and quality of the landscape. The evidence collected for the now completed landscape character statement is that the community highly valued, recognised and respected the landscape character, looking towards and protecting the upper reaches of the Westloo River. This green rural edge is seen as crucial and represents the connection to agriculture and nature to the village of Dogwalls. It was notable during lockdown how valuable this space is for walks around the village. This evidence can be taken in context as a material consideration, as it will not change in the final plan. The open space assessment has shown that Dogwalls has a third less open space than would be typical for other settlements. The original pre-app is correct, was for 311 units on 9.6 hectares of grade 2 good quality valuable agricultural land comprising of those 6 fields. Subsequent pre-apps and an outline application which was withdrawn for lack of support have been submitted. Although now reduced in size, this site represents some of the best and most versatile agricultural land, and consideration should be given to the loss of economic and other benefits, including food production. The primary school is at capacity, with the latest figures showing 5 spaces available out of 210. Admissions tell me there are more applicants to process this week. Children are being transported out of the village to school, some at the expense of Cornwall Council in taxis. This contravenes our climate change policies by increasing the need to travel for education. If there were contributions, there is no available space to expand the school as it is landlocked. School infrastructure capacity is deemed by the LA to be insufficient where the designated primary school are operating with fewer than 10% surplus places. The viability of this affordable lead scheme is questionable. An assessment cannot be made on an outline application. Evidence submitted by the applicant on the previous application for the same number of dwellings led the affordable team not to support the scheme as it was not viable. The number of houses needed for Dogwalls must be questioned. This is a calculation that includes Trewidland Village, some 6.7 miles away, and 7 affordable units in Dogwalls previously could not be sold, and Cornwall Council had to buy them for housing stock. The site is on the dangerous and busy Julo Road, a route used by vehicles from Looe and many other villages to access the A38 and then travelling on to the A30 going west and east. There is a conflict with vehicles reversing from Sparshot, parking pedestrians and school children. Highways have not acknowledged the serious issues, but I have respect and confidence in the police, who are professional drivers and experts at assessing dangerous conditions, and you will note their report. The site drains into the upper reaches of the West Loo River, which is prone to flooding in other areas of the parish. The sewerage plant is up to capacity, and during August there were problems when South West Water were in attendance. Due to the rapid overdevelopment of the village, Dobwalls cannot sustain any further development until such.
Chairman.
If you could wind up, please, Jane.
Yeah, I'm on the end, and at such time as the infrastructure catches up. The site is not suitable as the harm to the character and appearance of the area outweighs the benefits, in addition to the loss of productive and valuable Grade 2 agriculture land. May I respectfully ask you to consider Cornwall Local Plan Policies 1, 21, 23, MPF, PPF, Para 170, Para 94, the climate change policy, and that you give some credit and some weight to the emerging NDBP policies, HO1, HO2, HM2, LC1, LC2, LC3.
Can I ask you to wind up, please, Jane?
I'm done. Thank you for bearing with me. There was such a lot to say on this one. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We now move to questions of clarification to the officer. We have Councillor Foot, followed by Councillor Long.
Sorry, Chair, was that for the officer or for Councillor Pascoe?
Oh, Councillor, well, yes, by all means, if you have a question for Councillor Pascoe, yes.
Just a couple of things that she mentioned in there, which I wanted some clarification on. So the first one, Councillor Pascoe, is, as you say, there was lots to say about this application and lots to weigh up. So you mentioned that several affordable houses were unable to be sold in Dobwalls and they were purchased by Cornwall Council. Can you explain that a bit more, when that was?
Yes, certainly, Councillor Foot. It was probably a little over 12 months ago, possibly 18 months ago. It's the Wayne Home site, which is the Lantoom site, which is beside the school. There were 7 units. It was 5 houses, residential units, and 2 units which contained flats. And they were marketed as, for some time, as affordable homes, and they weren't sold. There were no takers. So Cornwall Council actually purchased them, and they have put them into their housing stock for social rent.
Okay, that's helpful to understand. And then the other one was regarding the taxiing of school children to other schools. Do you have any numbers on that or details on that at all?
I don't have total numbers. I've been trying to get actually accurate figures out of school admissions this week. Unfortunately, they don't have telephones, and they're also processing applications. But I certainly have children going in taxis to Lisgard, one in particular to St Martin's, without revealing details, that has been ongoing for more than 12 months. And it actually, apart from the, our climate.
I think, Councillor, I'm sorry, but I think you've answered the question, actually.
That's fine, thank you.
Do you have any figures?
Thank you,
I think you've answered the question.
Was Councillor Foot satisfied with that answer?
Yeah.
I am indeed. Thank you, Councillor Pascoe.
Yes, thank you. Andrew, was yours to the officer or to Councillor Pascoe?
Mine was to the officer.
Fine, thank you. In that case, away you go, Andrew.
Thank you very much. It's I don't know which officer is going to answer this one. It's regarding first of all, it's regarding the primary school itself. It's operating at 96% capacity, which means that I suspect at least one of the year groups is full, which technically means the school is full, I believe. Now, you're talking about an education contribution of 2,736. Am I right in assuming it only refers to open market housing? So if you are providing for the affordable housing, there wouldn't be a provision. Is that correct? So if I ask that question first.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Councillor Long, that is correct. The education contributions can only be sought on the open market housing. So as we've set out in the report, the viability assessment, if the outline planning application were approved, would be sought at reserve matter stage. On the basis of policy 9 of the Cornwall local plan, you would be looking at a minimum of 50% open market, 50% affordable. So if you look at sort of best case scenario, you'd be securing education contributions on 50% of the dwellings proposed.
Okay, so we're talking about £32,000 effectively. Would that be correct?
I haven't got my calculator here, Councillor Long, but I'll trust your math.
Thank you very much. The reason why I'm asking that is I'm struggling to understand how a school at 96% capacity could effectively create new spaces with £32,000. Because the school itself, if there's a year group that's full, the school should be classed as full. Now I'm looking at the next school along, which I believe is Hillfort. Looking at it on the map, is that, if that's correct, how are we proposing, if we allow development here, that we can arrange for safe transportation of young people to alternative education, given the fact that at least one year group at this school appears to be full? So how are we going to do that in the first instance? And the second question part of that is, given the fact that you're taking away prime agricultural land, could I ask you, have you looked at alternative sites as an offer as the council? Because whilst you look at policy 9 compliance, we are taking away best and most versatile agricultural land. So how are you squaring the circle on this? Have you done an assessment as to whether alternative land is available? Thank you.
Across to you, Davina.
Thank you, Chairman. So in terms of the education issues, I understand members' concerns here regarding education. All I can do is refer you to the comments of the education team that we've received on this planning application, in as much as if contributions are where contributions are collected on development. So if they were collected on this development and in respect of other developments recently approved in Dobwalls, it is for the education team of the council to determine how to spend that money. And they've confirmed that it may be the case that an expansion is required at Dobwalls, and that may require the acquisition of additional land. But based on the scale of the proposed development here, they don't consider there is sufficient need for the developer to set aside land and provide a new school site. So all I can refer you to there is the comments that we received from the education team, who advise us on the circumstances when we need to collect contributions. I appreciate that probably doesn't answer your question very well, but that is the response that we received from them, and then it is for them to determine how to spend those funds. So in terms of your second question in the agricultural land, we have assessed the proposal against policy 21 of the Cornwall local plan, and we haven't carried out an assessment of alternative sites that may be available. We've made the judgment that in this case, on the basis of the small size of the site, at less than 1 hectare, the development wouldn't result in the significant loss of agricultural land. So that's where we've come to that conclusion, and we've balanced that together with the impacts of the scheme on the character and appearance of the area against the identified need for affordable housing and the benefits that the scheme will deliver in terms of the provision of that affordable housing. And we've reached the judgment that the benefits outweigh the negatives. Thank you, Chairman.
With a query very quickly, Chairman, if that's possible.
Very quickly, yeah.
It's the, how many, given the fact that you say it's such a small site, if we continue to get 24 house sites coming through, each time, are you going to gauge it only on the fact that it's a small 0.8 hectare site? How long will it be before you decide that the culmination of new builds, taking away prime agricultural land, becomes a problem? Because what you've actually said there implies that if we have small scale building, we're never going to have a problem, because there's no cumulative impact assessment being made.
Over to you, Davina. It was a quick question.
Thank you, Chairman. So I think I can refer you to the fact that, as you all know, each application has to be considered on its own merits. In this case, at this moment in time, we have an affordable housing team confirming that there is a need for this affordable housing within Dobwalls. It may be in the future we have a scheme where we don't have that need and we don't have that evidence based, in which case that may change the balance of considerations. So it really is a case of, and I know we say it all the time, but each case on its own merits. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons, for clarification, please.
Thank you, Chairman. No, it's a point to put to you. I've noticed that Councillor May and Councillor Mould both have X's in the chat box, so I'm assuming they have questions and for whatever reason haven't raised their hands, but it's just so you're aware, okay?
Right, fine. I mean, if you could put your hands up, Mary and Carol, would be appreciated. But if not, we'll come to you shortly. Yes, Carol's up. That's fine. Right, we'll go across now then to Derek. Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Davina, a question for you, please, or two questions. Can you just clarify on the crossings, the crossings for people on the road? Are they to be the crossings uncontrolled but with the flashing yellow lights?
Thank you, Chairman. The plans are indicative details, so the detail would be secured via a condition, but the detail on the plan is for uncontrolled crossing points with tactile paving. I don't believe there is mention on the plans of lights, but that's something to be negotiated through the discharge of a condition application if the application were so approved.
Okay, well, if we are minded to approve this application, I would think it is very important to have those flashing lights, which are, of course, are very, very cheap to run these days. The second point is the drop-off points for the school proposed within this development, which I think is a really good idea, won't work unless you have a TRO with a waiting limit there of, say, 30 minutes, because otherwise it'll just be have a lorry parked there or residents' cars parked there as a sort of surplus area. So could you also bear that off, that point as well? It will definitely need a TRO because we've suffered this way in Saltash. Second one, the last one is, this is about the educational contribution. Is there definitely land available there for extension to the school? Are we talking about the land to the northwest of the school site? The northeast of the school site.
Thank you, Chairman. So in respect of the land being available, our education team haven't gone into that much detail. They've simply confirmed that at this present time, there are no plans in place for a school expansion. So we simply don't know the answer to that at the moment. In terms of your question regarding the pick-up and drop-off points, yes, after discussion with the highways officer, the intention is that they would be secured through a TRO process. Thank you.
With a waiting limit time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, Derek. Councillor Pascoe, for clarification, please. Councillor Pascoe, are you there? Fine. Okay. Councillor Mould.
Sorry, Chairman, I was having trouble connecting in. There were two things for clarification I wanted to ask the officer. Is it true that the affordable contributions, which we know will only be on the affordable homes, will only be on those that are above 2 bedrooms, so which it may not actually accumulate in that case to Councillor Long's calculation of 32,000? And the clarification also was actually there is no available land for expansion to that school at this moment in time.
Your question is, your first question or second question? First question is...
My first question is, can you clarify that the affordable contributions can only be taken from units which are over 2 bedrooms in size, and therefore the calculation that Councillor Long has would maybe not be accurate because there may not be that many.
Right. I think, Davina, I think she's got the question now. Davina?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, that's correct, Councillor Pascoe. So it's the education contributions are collected on open market dwellings, 2 bedrooms and above.
Fine. Was there any Further clarification on that one?
Yeah, and the second clarification I was asking for, that there is, at this point of time, there is no land available to expand the school.
Fine. Davina?
Chairman, I believe I answered that the last time,
Yes, I think
with the last member's questions. The education team have confirmed that at the moment there are no current plans in place for an expansion of Dubwall School, but it's possible that an expansion may require acquisition, but they haven't gone into detail so as to confirm whether any land is available or not.
Thank you. Councillor Mould, Carol, followed by Councillor May. Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry. I think perhaps I should have asked this of Councillor Dunn, but maybe Councillor Pascoe can confirm for me.
This is officers now, unfortunately.
Oh right. Well, can somebody? And I'm assuming, and perhaps the officer can confirm that the neighbourhood plan does actually have identified building land within it, fully accepting that this site is not in it.
I can answer that.
Yes, Davina.
Through you, Chairman. So, Councillor Mould, I think probably the first thing for me to do is just to explain exactly where the NDP is in the adoption process, so that members understand the weight that can be attributed to the plan. I think that's the first key. So, at the moment, the plan has not gone through its pre-submission consultation. A copy of a plan has been submitted to Cornwall Council for strategic environmental assessment, but the plan hasn't yet gone out to the Regulation 4 pre-submission consultation. So the Council's guidance confirms that little or no weight can be given to it at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. I fully understand that. Thank you. I just missed my moment. Sorry.
Yes, that's okay. Thank you. Councillor May, Mary, clarification, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I think Councillor Mould has asked my question actually, but it was about the weight and actually what date it was sent in, because pre-consultations are out now for plans that were submitted in May. So if this neighbourhood plan was submitted before COVID, then I would have thought the pre-consultation would have been done, but I wouldn't like to argue with you, Davina. So it was really about the weight that we could give it, along the lines that Councillor Mould asked.
Thank you, Mary. Davina, did you want to come back on that one or not? I saw your light flash.
No, sorry. I think my first question has answered that. Yeah.
Fine. Councillor Foote.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. My question is about clarification around the affordable housing element, which seems to be the big argument in favour of this proposal. So I'm just wondering how robust you think that report is from our affordable housing team, considering that we've had properties that were affordable that have recently been sold in a previous application. So I'd like to understand your comments on that one, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So yes, Councillor Foote. So the initial response from the affordable housing team confirmed that there were 43 households seeking affordable rented homes across Dubwalls and Chorlton Parish. Because of the concerns and discussions with Councillor Pascoe, we asked the affordable housing team to interrogate those figures further in order to identify exactly how many of those people had a local connection and a preference to live in Dubwalls itself, opposed to Chorlton, which is obviously further away. So they came back to us and confirmed, sort of second bite, that there were, of the 43, 24 of those households have indicated a local connection and preference to live in Dubwalls itself. Now, in terms of the issues regarding the flatted development on the Land Tomb development, again, we went back to the affordable housing team on that to explain the situation and what implications it had for the proposed development here. And they advised that flatted development can often cause issues for registered providers. They often don't want to take those on due to lending problems and higher deposit requirements, and also size implications as well. So they've said that the Land Tomb development really was an isolated issue relating to a lack of demand for small flats by registered providers, rather than highlighting an issue regarding need within the area. And they went on to clarify that this proposed development doesn't include any flats. Instead, we will try to negotiate some single-storey developments to reflect the fact there is a need for more elderly accommodation within the parish, I think 12 of the 43 dwellings across the board are required for households over the age of 55. So hopefully that explains, but if you've got any more, I'm happy to come back.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Councillor Craker, for clarification, over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Morning, Davina. I've just got a question on the affordable housing bit again, and what I can't understand is, looking at the planning history that we had confirmed earlier, that there have been some applications submitted on this site, and there seems a very similar application was submitted but did not receive support from the affordable housing team because of viability concerns earlier in the year. Is that correct? And if it is correct, I'm confused. What's changed between then and now that this site is now being supported by the affordable housing team when it was previously not supported because of the viability?
Thank you, Chairman. Hello, Councillor Craker. So the withdrawn application, you're quite right, the affordable housing team did raise concerns, and they were founded in concerns as to whether, as an outline planning application, it was really suitable for the scheme to be proposing an affordable housing led scheme with the viability issues to be discussed at a later date. So that was kind of the primary concerns there, and also some issues regarding the mix of the proposed development. So the applicants went away and worked on that and had some further discussions with the affordable housing team, who in this submission have confirmed that they're happy that the viability, i.e. the final percentage of affordable and open market, is determined at reserve matters stage and would be secured through the Section 106, but would continue to meet the policy requirement of no less or no more than 50% open market.
So can I just come back, Chairman?
Yes, certainly.
So I'm just confused how they can look at this is an outline application and say it will need to be determined at reserve matters. I don't understand how that works. Is there an affordable housing officer here who's looked at the scheme?
I think Davina could probably answer that one.
So it's because there is a set policy requirement of no more than 50% open market housing. That's a set policy requirement. So wherever we get to in terms of a reserve matters scheme and the final percentage, the policy is set in terms of what's required. We won't go below the 50%. So that's sort of where we're coming from in saying we're happy for that to be dealt with at reserve matters stage. At this stage in time, if we were insistent of viability information coming forward now, it's quite simply the case that it couldn't be done as an outline planning application. It would have to come forward as a detailed planning application with full plans in order to achieve costings and fully understand the viability. So if this application were to be approved, the applicants would then have to go away, work up the scheme, and present their viability information to us, so that the final percentages can be determined. And the affordable housing team have confirmed that they are now happy with that approach in respect of this site.
Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Nick. Fine. Jane, you're the last. Oh, you've gone now, have you, Jane?
No, I haven't. I did go. I just wanted clarification that they weren't all flatted units on the Lantoon site. There were 5 houses and 2 units that were flatted.
So through you, Chairman, affordable housing have confirmed to me they were flatted development. Jane, I haven't looked at it myself. I've relied on the advice that affordable housing have given me, but they have said that they were the flatted developments that have been changed.
Fine, thank you. Vice Chair, I don't see any other hands up. Am I correct?
Jim?
Correct.
Jim,
I think that's correct. Yeah, and I think Jim wants to come in.
Yes, do come in, Jim.
Thank you. Davina, when you're making your decision about supporting planning, I'm a bit concerned that on 2 occasions there today we've heard that the sewage system is at full capacity. Now, I don't think it's a good idea to build more houses until the sewage system is actually corrected. Could you answer that, please?
Hello, Councillor Flashman. Thank you, Chairman. South West Water receive a notification of all planning applications, and if there are issues in respect of proposed developments in relation to sewage or water runoff, they will notify us through comments, and I can confirm they haven't submitted any comments in respect of this application, which would imply they are content that the proposed development would have an acceptable impact on the mains drainage system.
Yeah, I'm sure that the parish council and the councillor itself would actually know that if there is at capacity, there are some troubles at the sewage works. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Right, that brings us to the end of the questions to the officers. We now go into open debate. Who would like to start the debate off, please? Councillor Foote.
Thank you, Chair. I've been listening carefully to various views this morning in the debate. You know, read through the officer report, and I know the site well. My daughters went to Dobwell's preschool many years ago. They're off to university next year, but and I've seen Dobwell's develop over the year, and you know, used to go through on the old A38 back in the day. So I have serious concerns about the actual affordable housing element side of things, and listening to Councillor Pascoe's comments about the sale of the previous ones, and so I'm really concerned about that. The loss of agricultural land weighs heavily against this one for me. Overdevelopment of Dobwells weighs heavily against this one for me. The loss of the distinct natural environment that is opposite to this primary school, which is right there, is weighs heavily against this one for me. And I don't see there room for expansion for the school there. And the provision of 106 to deal with that, it seems ridiculous to even suggest that. So I've got serious concerns with this, and I won't be supporting this. And in fact, I'd be happy to propose that we refuse based on that loss of agricultural land, overdevelopment, and actually taking into consideration the point at which the neighbourhood development plan had arrived at, and the fact that the parish have identified other areas for development. I take on board concerns about safety on the roads and the sewage system as well. So I'm happy to propose refusal this one, Chair.
Thank you, Jesse. We're down to this proposal at the moment then. Next speaker is Nick, Councillor Craker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Without going over everything Councillor Foote said, I agree with quite a lot of what he has said there, and I'm happy to second a proposal to refuse. The several policies I think that are important in the local plan, policy 1, the presumption in favour of sustainable development, and I'm yet to be convinced that this is a sustainable application or development here. I think it is, you know, looking at the school site in particular and the issues that are coming through there. You know, the education team do not say, yes, we support this site and there is spaces and it can be developed. They don't say that. So I don't think this planning application is in line with policy 1 of the Cornwall local plan. I'm also looking at policy 21 and the protecting agricultural land, best use of land. We're told this is grade 2 agricultural land. That was confirmed in the report. And so I don't think it complies with policy 21. And then also policy 23.
Right. If you can give your reasons for objection in a moment, Nick. At the moment, you're seconded the proposal against.
That's right. I just wanted to add what Councillor Foote had said and just list a few of the policies that I think we agree on.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment, because obviously you and Councillor Foote will have to put them together. You're happy with that for the moment, are you?
I am happy, yeah. Chairman.
Okay, that's fine. Councillor Hawley? You there, Derek?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you there?
Yes, where you go.
I actually take a slightly different view on this because, well, first of all, just to say that I thought that Jane spoke very well as the standing member there, and I listened to everything that she said. What I have noticed in the past, and we have had this come up before, that occasionally affordable houses in a development of the type that are put for sale can't be sold, and Cornwall Council has bought them before. This is actually a planning gain for the people who want an affordable house for rent in the end. So in the end, it turns out positive, not negative. And if that happens here, again, it will turn out positive, not negative. So hardly any site, Mr. Chairman, is perfect and without issues. And this site certainly has issues. And I think that with the proposed changes to the highway, it not only will make it safe for the residents coming out of this proposed site, but will also increase road safety up and down that road anyway with the additional crossings, which will slow traffic. So, but I'd give considerable weight, in fact, most weight towards the need for affordable houses, as we need a lot more houses in this county. And that's really where I'm coming from. So I actually, even though I've got some qualifications about the educational comments, which I think were vague, I still think on balance it is an application that should be supported for the affordable houses reason. And I'll be supporting it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Fine, thank you. Adrian, Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Chairman. Mine is a observation as much as anything. Having played football at Dubwalls many times, which seemed a very long time ago, it would have been over 20 years ago when I played at Lantoon Park. Interestingly, my son played on that very pitch a week ago Sunday. And I have to confess, Dubwalls isn't a village that I would regularly attend. It's a kind of village that you would pass through. What actually took me aback when visiting that field last week was how much Dubwalls has grown over the last 20 years. That football pitch used to be an isolated field. We now have development running down to Lantoon Park. It was almost unrecognisable to me. Whilst there, obviously, I took the opportunity, because the agenda was out, just to have a look at the site. And I can see exactly where the parish council are coming from with regards to considering this to be a great loss to the village with respect to green space. I would consider, if this was granted, it would be a well, it would have a great effect on the character of the area. When we get told that the school is full to capacity, it seems bizarre with the council declaring a climate emergency. We could actually be building houses next to the school and then busing them off to, or ferrying them off to Lisconnel.
Are you there, Adrian?
You know, when we hear that they've developed 200 houses. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
When they've had such... Yeah, can you hear me?
You're breaking up a bit. Just keep playing for the moment and we'll...
Okay. When they've had such growth, I fail to understand how there's still a housing need in that area. But for me, you know, I'm going to struggle to support this application because I don't think this is a case of NIMBYism from Dubwalls. This is a case where I think they really have taken their fair share. And if we aren't careful, I'm not sure where this is all going to lead to. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor George, hopefully you're the last hand up. Carol's come in, but I hope we don't prolong us too long. So across to you.
Jim as well.
Jim, Councillor Parsons, followed by Councillor Moe, followed by Councillor Flashman. Where you go, Barry?
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything that's been said. My major concern would have been for the school, not necessarily the building around it. Well, I think that's horrendous because I went through Dubwalls a little while ago, and again, I didn't recognise it either. But to have to move or take those children to Lisconnel, if it's within 3 miles, they'd have to walk down that busy road. If it's not, we'd have to bus them in, or parents would have to take them in, which again is against the climate change emergency. So I can't support this. I was going to say a lot more, but everything's been said, so I'll cut it short there. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. And now we have Councillor Mould. Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, very much, pretty much what's been said, but I won't be supporting this application. I do not think it's sustainable, and I don't want to be sitting here in 12 months' time and asking for the field behind to be developed because we've already started. Thank you.
Lovely. That's nice and concise. Thank you. And hopefully, Councillor Flashman, last one.
Oh, yes, hopefully I'll be concise. Yesterday, I had the great privilege of sitting down and listening to Country File. And on Country File, it said that most of the rivers in Britain are polluted for the simple reason is when there's a flood on, the sewage works are allowed to open up their floodgates and let everything into the rivers. Now, if this is going to continue, our countryside will be ruined. Now, I would imagine that the water authority should be taken to task, sort out the sewage system before any more building is allowed in any of our villages or any of our towns. I'd like to think that we're going forward instead of backward. We all put great weight on parish plans, and the planning officer obviously haven't taken that into consideration. If we're going to use the parish plans in future times to make decisions, and the other big thing is the Grade 2 land. We've been told on numerous planning applications this Grade 2 land that must not be built on. We need to protect our farming community because in a minute we will be needing every acre of land to produce food to feed everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Right. No other speakers on my screen. Is that confirmed by you, Vice Chair?
Yes, that's correct, Chairman.
Fine. In that case, we come back to the proposer and seconder to discuss openly with Davina their reasons for objection, please. Over to you. Would you like to start off, Jesse?
Thank you, Chair.
If you come in as well on this one, Nick, rather than flip to and fro.
So yes, I'm quite happy to list a number of policies which would support my view for refusal on this one. So the first would be the loss of Grade 2 agricultural land. I think that's weighs heavily against this one for me. Policy 23, as far as protecting the distinct natural environment that's around Dobwalls, and that this site would, if this site were approved, would lose that. So that's policy 23. Concerns have been raised about flooding there. Having had a view of the site, I would be concerned about that. So that's policy 26. Policy 27, I would be concerned about transport infrastructure and the safety there. I want to give weight to the neighborhood development plan. I'm not sure how we put that in there. Can
we just hold you there a second?
Seriously concerned about overdevelopment too. Sorry.
If we could just bring Davina in on this, Davina, what have you heard so far that you can hang your hat on?
Thank you, Chairman. So yeah, I heard lots of debate. Key issues, loss of agricultural land and impact on the character and appearance of the landscape. In my opinion, those are the two key issues that members should be focusing on. I appreciate the debate regarding the school, the affordable housing need, but we have consultee responses there that are positive, that support the development. So I do think we would struggle to come up with a reason for refusal that we could defend on appeal based on those issues. In terms of the NDP, as I said earlier, because it hasn't been through pre-submission consultation yet, we cannot give it any significant weight. So I do not believe we could successfully use it in a reason for refusal and defend our position at appeal. Similarly, with highways, we have a highways officer who confirms the development is safe and suitable. So I think those arguments will be difficult. In terms of flooding, the site isn't within a flood zone. We don't have an objection from South West Water. So I would suggest that members focus on the loss of agricultural land, the impact on the character and appearance of the landscape. I've drafted something. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes, please, if you would. Yes.
Okay. So the proposed residential development of the site would result in the urbanisation of undeveloped agricultural land that comprises the best and most versatile land, reducing the existing and or potential economic and food production productivity associated with the land, whilst resulting in the encroachment of residential development into undeveloped countryside and harming the distinctive natural character and beauty of the area. The proposed development is therefore contrary to policies 1, 2, 12, 21 and 23 of the Cornwall Local Plan. And then I would also recommend a second technical reason for refusal based on the failure to secure the planning obligations, i.e. the affordable housing, the education contributions and the public open space contributions via Section 106 agreement. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. That's no doubt exactly what Jesse and Nick had in front of them. Are you two gentlemen happy with that?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, I'm happy as well. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're across to Rowena now to go through the roll call. All yours, Rowena.
Thank you, Chairman. So it's moved by Councillor Foot, seconded by Councillor Craker that the application be refused. Can you indicate if you are in support or against when I read your name, please? Councillor Craker?
I'm for refusal.
Thank you. Councillor Foot?
I'm in support of refusal.
Thank you. Councillor Flashman?
For refusal.
Councillor Greenslade?
For refusal.
Councillor Holly? Councillor Holly?
Derek?
I'll come back to Councillor Holly in a moment. Councillor Jordan?
I'm for refusal.
Councillor Long?
For refusal.
Councillor May?
For refusal.
Councillor Mould?
For refusal.
Councillor Pugh?
For refusal.
Councillor Tamlin?
For refusal.
Councillor Parsons?
For refusal.
And Councillor Batters.
For refusal.
Thank you. Can I go back to Councillor Holly? Can you please indicate how you wish to vote?
Against refusal.
Against refusal. Okay, thank you. Okay, Chairman, I can confirm that the proposal has been carried for refusal by 12 votes to 1 with no abstentions. So that has been carried.
Thank you very much. We will now take a 10-minute. It's 11:20. We will recommence at 11:30. Please mute your microphones. I can see they're all off at the moment, which is fine. But we are on live stream still, so please no conversations between members. So we'll come back at 11:30, which gives us 9 minutes.
Chairman.
Whatever you wish.
Chairman, can I just ask, the next application, I'm declaring an interest, so I'll leave the meeting now.
Yes, certainly. And Jane can do the same if you wish, Jane.
Yes, thank you very much for a very fair debate. Thank you. I will leave the meeting now.
Thank you. Right, we'll see the rest of you in 9 minutes. Thank you. Asked about my medication. I'm running medication. Hello?
on yet.
That may be on.
A bit of a lash with the carpet.
That's it.
No, it's fine.
Hi, Rowena, are you present? If so, could you give a roll call to ensure everyone else is, please?
Yes, Chairman. I can confirm that councillors Pascoe and Craker have left the meeting as they have declared an interest in this item, and I will do a roll call vote for the rest of the committee. If you could indicate that you are present when I read your name, please. Councillor Foote.
Councillor Foote speaking, present.
Thank you. Councillor Flashman.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Greenslade.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Holly.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Long.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor May.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Mould.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Pugh.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Tamlin.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons.
Present.
Thank you. And Councillor Batters.
Yes, present.
Thank
Fine.
you.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, we go on to item 2 on the agenda, application PA 20/02028, the Cattle Market Car Park, Dean Street, Liscard. And again, presented by Davina. So it's across to you, Davina. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I will just get my screen shared with you. If you could let me know when you can see that.
Yes, all up and running, yes.
Fantastic, thank you. So this application is for the construction of a 2-storey work shed building, a cycle storage shed and a covered market area, together with the provision of a parking area and other associated works, to include the demolition of existing cattle market sheds and associated structures. And the site comprises the Liscard Cattle Market Car Park on Dean Street. The key issues set out within your report include the policy context, design and impact on the historic environment, the impact on trees, highway safety, ecology, biodiversity net gain, the impact on neighbours, drainage and land contamination. So here we've got a location plan of the site for you. You can see it outlined in red. Sits within the core of Liscard. And a more detailed plan for you. So this whole site comprises the cattle market site as we know it. This application relates to the phase 1 aspect of the proposal, so the easterly portion of the site, as you can see outlined in red. Now the whole site is within the Liscard Conservation Area, and as you can see there are a number of listed buildings, and part of the site is also within the historic settlement. Excuse me, this thick dashed line depicts the historic settlement. As you can see, there are 2 entrances to the site. The main vehicular access is off Fair Park Road, just here off Dean Street, whilst there's also an access via Market Approach, just here. And there are a number of pedestrian access points to the site, including this point here, which is an alleyway leading up between the properties on Windsor Place. So here's an aerial photograph for you of the site. You can see the existing cattle market buildings and associated structures which are here. The application also relates to a row of cattle market sheds which are just on the northern boundary, which I'll point out to you in the photograph. So this plan shows the site demolition and strip out works. So essentially the hatched area are the buildings to be demolished. So all of the cattle market features and buildings in this part of the site are to be demolished, together with that row of cattle market sheds I talked of earlier. In terms of the proposal is for the construction of a new B1 work shed in this part of the site down here. The shed is aimed to be was planned to be a co-working space targeted at micro and small businesses within the creative industries. It's a 2-storey building. The scheme also includes a cycle shed just here, just a small building for storage of bicycles. It also includes an external market canopy in order that markets can be held under this space in inclement weather. And it also includes marketplace, which will be an area where external markets can be held, and it will also function as public realm. The scheme includes the provision of a car parking area just here on the southern boundary, and also what's classed as a temporary flexible space, which is actually proposed to be a wildflower meadow with some seating, but also represents space that could be used for events and so forth. So as part of the proposal, market approach, which is this access here, would be pedestrianised via bollards to be inserted. And there are also some improvements proposed at the junction of Fair Park Road with Dean Street. So here's a indicative landscape proposal for you, whereby you can see the building in context together with the wildflower meadow just here, and also some planting here. The wildflower meadows are part of the biodiversity net gain proposals. So some proposed elevations for you. This is the north facing elevation, so will effectively be the front elevation. This is the two-storey workshed building just here, comprises 3 distinct gables. The cycle shed is this small building on this boundary here, and the market canopy is this building here, which is an open fronted building. This is the rear elevation. In terms of materials, you're looking at black zinc cladding to the roof and a mixture of the zinc cladding and timber cladding to the elevations. And the side elevations for you. And the proposed development of the workshed building in combination with the market canopy. And the floor plans for you. So in terms of the existing market sheds, which are the small buildings on the northern boundary, these are here to be demolished and replaced, as I said, with a planted area and also some seating. So in terms of photographs for you, this shot is of Fair Park Road, the main access to the site, and I'll pan around. So these are the work sheds to be demolished. So just the extent of this building here. It's worth noting that the scheme doesn't include the retail units located within that building. That site's outside of the red line area. So this space would be the external market area. And where those 2 large buildings are there, former cattle market buildings, that's where the work shed would be. All of the ancillary features associated with the cattle market, the fencing and the pens, etc., would be demolished, along with the building just there and the buildings here. And just some more shots for you of the site of the proposed work shed buildings. This shot is taken from Market Approach, so the bollards associated with the development would prevent pedestrian vehicular access through here, and the workshed building would sit here. And that's looking back down a Market Approach towards the main town centre. That's the building with the existing retail units, which isn't affected by the proposed development. And this is an illustrative view of the proposal from Market Approach. So that photograph I showed you just a minute ago, you can see the building there with a combination of materials. And here taken from within the site itself. So again, the front elevation of the workshed building, the external canopy, market canopy, and then the open air market space here. So the last market to take place on the site occurred in December 2017, and the site contains a number of buildings that are now in poor condition. The neighbourhood development plan for Liskeard includes a specific policy which seeks to enable proposals for the regeneration of the site. The policy recognises the fundamental importance of the site to the development of Liskeard and the key part it could play in achieving the aim to take Liskeard forward as a modern market town. The proposal would provide a flexible business space that has the potential to bring new business into the town, whilst also providing a marketplace and a market canopy that would maximise retail opportunities on the site. The proposal is considered to contribute towards regenerating the site in a way that maximises economic and cultural benefits, whilst also contributing to a lively and vibrant town centre. The scheme is considered to be well developed and an appropriately scaled regeneration project that offers opportunities for wider enhancements, including the highway and pedestrian improvements and the revitalisation of the town centre. The scheme will not result in harmful impacts to the historic environment, so that's the listed buildings and the conservation area in which the site is located. A negative impact of the development is the loss and displacement of 40 public car parking spaces, but as acknowledged within the neighbourhood plan, the current wider public car park is underused, generally operating at approximately 60% capacity. So on the basis that the remainder of the public car park, situated to the west of the site and outside of the red line area, is to be retained, the loss of public car parking is considered to be outweighed by the economic, social and environmental benefits of the development. So the application is recommended for approval. I would just draw members' attention to the update that was circulated last week, whereby the archaeology officer confirmed he was content with the scheme, subject to conditions to secure archaeological investigation, and also the comments of the tree officer with reference to the landscaping proposals being worked up to better provide for additional tree canopy through a landscaping condition. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Davina. Our only speaker on this is Councillor Hawkins, Sally Hawkins, who is a divisional member for this ward. Are you present, Sally? You should be.
I am, thank you, Chair.
Lovely. You have your usual 5 minutes if you wish to use that much. At the end of it, I shall be looking for you to wind down. Okay, away you go.
I'm not planning on taking too long. Just to say that this is the culmination of a significant piece of work over the last few years to get us to the place we are today. Overall, the master plan has been shaped by a vast community consultation with acknowledgement of different phases needed to progress elements of the plan where funding can be secured. What you have before you today is the Council's own workspace project, which has been well received by all in Liskeard. I can offer you that Liskeard Cornwall councillors, the Town Council and the local neighbourhood plan, the business groups all support this element. Thank you to Councillors Jane Pascoe and Councillor Nick Quaker for their support on the Cattle Market Working Group. This weekend we held an update public engagement event, and there was unanimous feedback that the plans are welcome and people are really looking forward to action. Particularly keen were those residents who live directly behind this part of the site. As you know, derelict buildings can lead to antisocial behaviour, and this has been a challenge for them, so they were particularly enthusiastic about seeing progress there. The parking and event space has been the subject of some comments I can see that you've received. There's a little bit of confusion in that the event space is an area of land on the site that has already transferred to the Town Council, and that's happened independently of this application. Indeed, there was a second outdoor produce market on the site this weekend using that space. The design reflects the agricultural heritage of the site, and care has been taken over sight lines to our church and the fact that it sits in a conservation area. The clearest message I get from the people of Liskeard is get on with it. I wholeheartedly recommend approval to this committee.
Thank you very much, Sally. I would hope there's not too many, if any at all, really, but are there any questions of the officer or Sally? Anyone wishes to put for clarification purposes? Jesse, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, it was just a bit of clarification on the parking matter for Davina, possibly. So you've mentioned the loss of 40 parking spaces. Balancing that with the comments that it's largely under 60% usage. How many disabled car parking spaces are currently in situ, and how many will be in place after the development? I'm just trying to understand if there's a loss or a gain there.
Through you, Chairman, if I may, I just need to get my application forms out a second, Jesse, and I can then confirm that for you. Just bear with me.
Yes, Sally, if you want to speak a moment whilst we're waiting.
Yeah, if I can confirm that some disabled spaces just moved slightly, a matter of a few metres recently as part of that event space coming over to the Town Council, and future plans intend to, when we get to the stage of demolishing the ATS building, that disabled spaces will be put in access clearer, much nearer to the doctor's surgery, which is a long-held aspiration.
Fine, and so that hopefully will not see any reduction, any massive or great reduction of disabled spaces, hopefully.
I wouldn't expect any reduction of disabled spaces, no.
Are you happy with that, Jesse, or did you?
I am happy with that, Chair. That's very helpful.
No doubt Davina can now confirm that possibly, or?
Yeah, certainly.
Sorry.
Sorry, Chairman. So yes, looking at the application forms, it confirms that there are currently 4 disability spaces within that area of the site. The total proposed disability spaces is set to be 6. So there won't be any overall loss, but the parking area to serve the work shed will be primarily for users of the work shed. So it's just worth bearing that in mind.
Fine. Thank you very much.
That's really helpful, Chair.
Thank you, Jesse.
Is it possible just to ask another question of Davina on a couple of the objections that were raised? So it was really about saying the timing of the application and the concern that there was a lack of site notices. I'm just wondering if she could comment on that.
Yes, Chairman, through you. Yeah, I can confirm that site notice was posted on the site. The site notice was actually posted by the parish council or the town council, who are very helpful. And in terms of dates for you, just so that you're aware, the site notice was posted on the 28th of May.
Lovely. Okay, Jesse.
Thank you very much.
Fine. No other hands up, Vice Chair, I believe. I can't see any. Oh, Jim. Yes, go ahead, Jim. If it's clarification.
Yeah, just for clarification, Davina, I've got the block plan. I'm on the phone, obviously. I have no internet. And I was just interested to know where the biodiversity section is for the green space, please.
Yep, certainly. If I can, I think it's probably easiest if I share my PowerPoint presentation with you again, I think, if that's okay, Chairman.
Good, because I've got no internet.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so
I've got the block plan.
Yeah, if you've got the block plan, then the biodiversity net gain, so the wildflower meadows, are proposed to be sited in the temporary flexible space, which is located at the western end of the site, and also on the site of the existing cattle market sheds, which are to be demolished on the northern boundary of the site.
Yeah, thank you very much. Lovely.
Okay,
thank you.
Fine. I see Richard Pugh has his hand up. Richard, for clarification.
Yes, please. Could you tell me what's going to happen to the ATS building, please?
Councillor Pugh, the ATS building is not included within this application. It's outside of the red line area, so it's not for consideration in respect of this phase 1 development.
Okay, Richard.
Well, okay. I thought the ATS was sort of that side of the entrance, actually. Sally wants to say something.
If you want to clarify it, Sally.
So the ATS building, it has been acquired by the council, and the conversations are around using that space to be able to facilitate an extension to the GP surgery, but that is not in the scope of this first round of demolition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right, no other hands are up, so we move into open debate. I would like to start this off by saying that I think this is a great plan. It's a gain for Liscard, I would say. And I would love to think we had such a facility coming to Bodmin. Bodmin lost its market some years ago, and probably 15 to 20 years ago, and has been greatly missed. And it's still one of the top things that people would love to see back in the town, but the facility has completely disappeared. To have something so close to the town centre in Liscard as this facility can only be good for the town centre, I would have thought. And on those lines, I would like to propose that this application is accepted.
Mayor.
Derek next. I'll bring you in then, Jim. Derek?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, this is a good application and it's long overdue, and I think it will give a wide range of benefits to Liscard Town Centre and to the residents of the town. So I'll second the application, your proposal, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Jim, you want to come in?
Yeah, Derek got there a bit before me.
Right.
I've been a market goer there since the early 50s, and it was an asset to the town, but it outgrew the town is the reason, basically. And the markets now need a more modern type of building and a lot more room owing to the size of the market. So this is obviously going to be a great turnaround for the site, and I'm really pleased to support it. A lot of work is called into it, both by the councillors and by the planning department, and I would like to congratulate them on such a good report. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Andrew Long. Andrew.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. I think it's an excellent proposal. I think it's not just good for Liskeard, but it's good for the whole of South East Cornwall. I think it provides much needed investment, much needed micro business, startup potential areas. So I think it's a win-win, and I think we should all be supporting it. So I'll happily support this application.
Well said, Andrew. Yes. Jesse, your hand is still up. I take it to.
Yes, Chair. Just to say, it's good to have the statement about the disabled parking. That kind of allays some of my concerns there, but fully support this. Long overdue. Liskeard needs this, absolutely.
Okay. So can we, in that case, there's no other hands up at the moment, and it's pointless going through another 10 of us all agreeing what a wonderful thing it is. Hopefully we can confirm that by voting in favour of it. So, Davina, did you want to come in at this point?
Thank you, Chairman. Only just to confirm, so that the recommendation with the conditions set out in the original committee report, and also the additional conditions relating to archaeological investigations set out in the update. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. In that case, we'll go to the vote on this one, and it's proposed by myself, seconded by Councillor Derek Holly, that we go in line with recommendation from our planning officers. Can we go through the roll call, please, Rowena?
Thank you, Chairman. So the proposal is for approval. Can you please indicate how you wish to vote when I read your name? Councillor Foote?
Fully support.
Councillor Flashman?
Support.
Councillor Greenslade?
Approve.
Councillor Holly?
Approve.
Councillor Jordan?
Approve.
Councillor Long?
Approve.
Councillor May?
Approve.
Councillor Mould?
Approve.
Councillor Pugh?
Approve.
Councillor Tamlin?
4.
Councillor Parsons?
4.
And Councillor Batters?
4.
Thank you, Chairman. That has been unanimously approved, and we also need to, now that item has been decided, to call Councillors Pascoe and Craker to get them back into the meeting before we commence the next item. So I'll just do that.
If you will confirm their reappearance, thank you.
I will, yeah.
Well done, Sal.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Sally. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Okay, we just as well hold it there. We won't take a break because it shouldn't be more than a minute or two. And we can carry on with the next application.
Chairman, it's Angela from Democratic Services. I've just spoken to Councillor Pascoe, who's dialing back in.
She's back in.
She's coming back in.
Coming back in. And what about Councillor Craker?
Councillor Craker has also indicated he's just returning now, so it shouldn't be very long, but we'll confirm when they're back in.
If you confirm when in, that's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, it's Councillor Craker here. I've returned.
Thank you, Nick.
Councillor Pascoe is now back.
Yes, I'm here too now.
Sorry, it's 2 or 3 talking. That's Jane, is it?
No, Jim here.
Yes, Chair, I'm here.
Thank you, Jane. Right, okay, we'll move on then to our third application.
Jim here.
Sorry, who's that?
Jim. Could I just make a statement that I am a member of the Cornwall AONB partnership?
Right. Okay, but that doesn't. No. Right.
No.
Okay, fine. Next application then is PA 20/00947, the Chalet, rear 31 4th Street, Port Isaac, and this is being presented by Amy Williams. Amy, across to you.
Thank you, Chair. I will just share my screen a second. You can just let me know when you can see that.
Yes, there you are. You're up and running.
Lovely, thank you. So this is agenda item 4.3, which is for the chalet, which is in 4th Street, Port Isaac, and it's for the demolition of some existing buildings and construction of a replacement dwelling. Sorry, my computer's not working for a second.
Do you want to stand by, Davina, to come in with this one or not?
Yes, I can if you need me to share my desktop.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, sorry, it's saying my shared window's not available. Sorry.
So if Davina puts it up and you tell her when to move on, is that all right?
Okay. Yeah.
Fine. If you can extract yours now, then, and then Davina come in.
I'm just waiting for the PowerPoint presentation to load my end, Chairman, so I'll be right with you.
Certainly, no problem. You can blame it on that lead, Amy.
I know, I will.
Say when you're up and ready, Davina.
No,
problem.
certainly. We're getting there. We're at 20%, so.
Yep. I can see. I can hear someone saying chairman, but are they talking to me?
Sorry.
So if Davina puts it up and you tell her when to move on, is that all right? Yeah. Fine. If you can. Oh, seems to be a repeat of what you said.
I'm just waiting for the PowerPoint presentation to load my end, Chairman.
Perhaps you ought to introduce a little bit of background music into these meetings at this stage.
Okay, right.
Right. So that's it. That's up and running. Over to you, Amy. You're in charge of production. Oh, hello. Security alert. Hello. There we are. Right. I started to duck out of sight then.
Okay, so let's start again. So yeah, so it's the demolition of the buildings that are existing on site and construction of a replacement dwelling. The key issues of this development, or this proposal, sorry, is whether or not this is a suitable replacement dwelling, the impact of the development on the surrounding landscape, and the suitability of the glazing on the north and west elevation. Next screen, thank you. So as you can see, this is the location plan that shows the proposal site in connection with the village of Port Isaac. And again, this shows the surrounding listed buildings in purple and the conservation area, which is the purple dashed line. And an aerial view just to show you the location of the application site on the cliff edge there of Port Isaac. So this is a proposed site plan. The green dashed lines are the existing buildings that are on site, and then you can see there they've overlaid the proposed siting of the dwelling on up to replace them. These are proposed elevations. You will see there are some dashed lines on there. The kind of green dashed lines are the existing buildings. The red dashed line actually just shows the previous application that was submitted and subsequently refused, just to show the scale of that previous refusal compared to the proposal that we now are looking at. And again, same scenario here, east and south elevations with those dotted lines, just to show you the previous refusal and the existing buildings on site, along with the proposal. So this is a proposed floor plan. And these are some illustrative drawings that have been submitted by the agent just to show the main elevations that you'll see from various points in Port Isaac, along with in that far bottom left corner is the proposed material palette for the for the dwelling. So some illustrative views again that have been submitted by the agents. So we're looking from 4th Street now down into the application site. Again, the top one is the existing site as it is at the moment. And then the bottom photo shows the application or the proposed dwelling sited in the plot, together with those dotted lines again, the green one showing the existing buildings and the red one showing the previous refusal. So now to the photos that I took when I did my site visit. These are the existing buildings on site. So the top one, the single story, the white rendered building, that's the one nearest 4th Street. And then the outbuilding garage is then the one that's further down on the cliff edge. So again, just my photos taken from 4th Street, and you can see there in the background the ridge line of that outbuilding garage, and then the flat roof of the chalet, which is kind of behind those wheels that you can see there. That's the building there. So this is when standing on site, kind of next to the garage outbuilding, and that's looking outwards to sea in a northwesterly direction. And this is actually now taken from the other side of the harbour on Rosecarrick Hill, looking towards the application site. And yeah, where the arrow is there, that's the existing buildings. And the next slide actually is just me zooming the camera in, just so you can see it in a slightly better context, just so you can see where the buildings are in relation to the existing built form. So in balance, it's considered that the application site is within Port Isaac, and the social, environmental and economic benefits associated with a new high quality home in the settlement weighs in favour of the application. It is considered that the proposed home is of a high quality design and is a much better quality than the buildings it replaces, and therefore is a beneficial addition to the landscape. The proposed windows on the north and west elevation are bigger than other windows within the conservation area, but it is adjudged that this scheme in its entirety would have a beneficial impact to the conservation area. The proposal adds to the housing stock in Port Isaac and is considered which is a settlement, and therefore provides a sustainable form of development. The application is therefore recommended for conditional approval as set out in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Amy. Davina, if you'd like to leave that there for the moment, because we're speaking to people on the phone, so it's not as if we will be covering them up. Oh, it's gone anyway.
It's fine, I'll bring it back.
Oh, that's okay. Right, fine. Okay, so we now move to our first speaker, Nicola Williams, Sendandelian Parish Council. Are you there, Nicola?
Hi, it's Angela from Democratic Services. I was getting some background noise from Nicola, so I've had to mute her. So if you can hear me, if you press *6 on your telephone, that will unmute you.
Hi, Nicola, are you there? Hello, Nicola.
Yeah, she's
Hello,
now on.
Can you hear me?
Hello, is that Nicola?
It is indeed.
Fine, that's lovely. If you can stay close to your phone and make sure we can clearly hear you. You have 3 minutes to. You have 3 minutes to speak to us. You'll have a 30-second warning, and at the end of the 3 minutes, if you can stay on the phone, should there be any questions for clarification to come to you. Okay?
Surely. Okay. Thank you very much.
So away you go as soon as you wish. Thank you.
Right. Just for clarification, our neighbourhood plan is now post-examination. All the recommendations have been adopted and submitted to Cornwall Council under Regulation 18. So we're just awaiting the decision statement when the plan can be afforded significant weight until a referendum can be held. The historic team has worked with the officer and the applicant to achieve a design which they describe as more palatable. In their summary, however, they still make recommendations that this current proposal ignores, namely that the expanse of wide glazed windows should incorporate references to the smaller panes windows used in many buildings in the immediate area, and that timber frames may well integrate better into this part of the conservation area, which is exactly what our PC is ready to fully support. I submit that while the applicant has made some alterations after his discussion with this team, he still fails, as in our opinion does the recommendation for approval, to go the final stretch and achieve a mutually agreeable window design. It is not for us to set aside good planning practice and submit to the will of the applicant, who, as the officer says, does not agree with us, notwithstanding non-reflective or tinted treatments which may or may not prevent us from seeing into the building. The impact of these large curved glazing panels is not only at odds with this setting, but is unseen in the whole village, not even just the conservation area. We have a collective responsibility to ensure without doubt that the planning balance of the decision you're tasked with making here does no harm, is not merely palatable, but must add public value benefit or enhancement to the conservation area as the 1990 Act requires. To pass the proposal because it's more palatable is to undermine all the previous good decisions we have persuaded you to make, to ensure that our conservation area and the settings of our highly valued listed buildings are preserved. The site is the gateway for vast numbers of visitors entering our historic village from the well-trodden cliff path. If approved, this dwelling will be the first in the harbourside they see when they arrive to marvel at our uniquely preserved village. Our NDP inspector says our plan clearly demonstrates a sound understanding of the characteristics of the settlement, the basis for a strong set of bespoke policies. Our plan supports development in this character area when it respects and reflects the general window proportions of the conservation area and avoids the inappropriate use of glazing, extensive glazing and panoramic windows. We urge members to support our sound understanding by refusing this proposal on the basis of significant harm to our conservation area and the abandoned listed buildings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicola. If you can hold for the moment in case there are any questions of clarification. Are there any questions, please, of clarification for the speaker? No, it looks as though... one from Councillor Holly. Yes, Derek, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that information. Could you just clarify, the major concern you've got is the glazing, nothing else? That's the major concern?
The major concern is that big arced extensive glazing, yes. I know the Historic Service has some disquiet about the white render on the upper part of the building, but actually what's currently there is white rendered, so we're happy with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, Nicola, really. No other questions in front of me. So thank you for attending. You can obviously watch this on live screen if you wish.
Thank you. Okay. I will do. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. We next have Chloe. Chloe Pitt. Are you there, Chloe?
Hi. Yes, Chairman, I'm here.
Good morning. Well, you know the rules, Chloe, from bygone days. 3 minutes. We'll give you a 30 seconds warning before the end. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members and officers of Planning Committee. I am here today from Lawrence Associates, who are acting agent of the scheme. As detailed and explained by the officer, the application before you has undergone several changes since the original application, which was refused back in 2018. Since then, Lawrence Associates were appointed as architects and planning agents to produce a scheme that was appropriate for the cliffside location. The starting point was to undertake a heritage impact assessment to understand the importance of the site in heritage terms that considered the site's location within the conservation area as well as the setting of the listed buildings. Once the significance of the site was understood, as well as understanding the importance of the site from a landscape perspective regards to the AONB, a scheme was prepared. Following the preparation of a draft scheme, a pre-application was submitted to Cornwall Council and we engaged with the Parish Council. Following the feedback from the said parties, the scheme was amended and thereafter submitted to Cornwall Council in February of this year. The brief from our client has always been to create a scheme that is of an appropriate size and scale whilst using materials that would sit comfortably within its environment and respect the surrounding buildings. In addition, to provide a usable space and create a design that is reflective of modern day living. Based on the consultee comments received, I think it's fair to say that it is acknowledged that the proposal would represent an overall enhancement of the site in comparison with the existing development by virtue of a high quality design, including appropriate siting, massing and selection of traditional materials. However, there are still concerns over the glazing, despite the glazing being reduced by 55% since its submission. On this point, glazing would not have been included within the design if the Heritage Impact Assessment deemed that it was inappropriate. However, it did not. The Heritage Impact Assessment guided the location of the glazing onto the less sensitive elevations in terms of heritage, which in this case are the north and west elevations. This was on the condition, however, that to help mitigate risk of reflective glare, windows must be designed in deep set openings, and to mitigate nighttime light spill, a high specification of the glass is recommended. Putting aside the comments from the consultees over the glazing, 4 representations from third parties have been received and largely addressed through the submissions before you. Apologies. It is therefore respectfully asked that members are able to support this application and stand by the officer recommendation of approval. This scheme represents a 21st century building that has taken account of the constraints of the site as well as the current buildings on site. Moreover, the application has undergone several changes to try and gain the support of all, but understandably, our client is not willing to compromise on the glazing, bearing in mind the position of the planning officer and conservation officer. Thank you. I'll leave it there.
That's okay, Chloe. If you can hold for a moment, in case there are any questions of clarification. Are there any questions of the speaker, please, for clarification purposes? Councillor Foote, Jesse Foote.
I just was hoping you could clarify the roof height of the proposed development. I know the Cornwall AONB officer has raised some concerns that it's higher than what's currently there. I'm just wondering how much higher it actually is, please.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the plans before me, in front of me here. Okay, so sorry, I need a scale rule, which is in the other room. Sorry about that.
All right, Davina,
it's very marginal, yeah, unless Davina's got a ruler in front of her. Sorry.
Yeah, Davina or Amy could probably answer that one at this moment.
Yeah, I'm just frantically finding the plan.
Can we come back to that one in a minute? Well, there's no other hands up, so we'll wait, actually. That's okay.
Right, okay.
Just remind us your question again, Jesse, while she's looking at it, please.
I wanted to understand the actual, the Cornwall AONB officer, one of his concerns was that the roof height is higher than the shed that's currently there, the building that's there. I want to know how much higher it actually is, please.
Thank you.
Okay, so when you're looking at the proposed plans, the upper part of the dwelling, so which is replacing where the chalet building is, that's 0.4 higher than the existing chalet itself. The outbuilding is 0.6.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yes, the upper section is 0.4 higher. The lower section is 0.6.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Okay. Okay, that one, Jesse?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of the speaker? Chloe, please, for clarification purposes. No? In that case, thank you very much, Chloe. Obviously, you appreciate you can watch this on live stream.
Yes, will do.
Thank you for coming on. Okay.
Thank you.
So in that case, we move on to questions of the case officer. Anyone got any questions they wish to put to Amy, please? Doesn't look as though there are any, Amy. So in that case, we will go into open debate. Who would like to start it off?
Would you like to hear from the electoral division member?
Oh, beg your pardon. Sorry. Yes. My apologies to you, Carol.
That's all right, Mr. Chairman.
That's all the switching around there and the rustling of papers through me. Yes. Over to you, Carol. My apologies.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this brief. I am actually fully in support of the parish council on this issue. This is a very prominent site in Port Isaac, and these applications do always come down to this mass of glazing. Now, there's been compromise on every side. The parish council have, yes, the AONB officer says that this is taller than what is there, and that in his view, the height should be lowered to reduce the appearance of the glazing. But the parish council are happy to see the rise in height. They feel that overall the building will sit there, but it is the question of this glazing. And they've merely asked for it to be broken up, to be inconsistent with the surrounding listed buildings and the actual appearance of this building from the southwest footpath. And, you know, I think it's a bit rich to say that the applicant will not compromise. I'm sorry, this is a conservation area, and these houses really should be sitting in the context in which they are meant to sit, modestly designed. And I don't think it's too far for the parish council to insist this is broken up. They will have an uninterrupted view. Yes, breaking it up may make a slight difference to that, but I think for all concerned, and to keep the parish council happy, and although I take on board their neighbourhood plan is not adopted, so we can't give it full weight, but this parish council are always consistent with their conservation area, and they really care about what Port Isaac will look like and approaching it. What I would not like to see is when you come around the headlands and come around the footpaths and you say, my goodness me, look at that, and you are confronted by these expanses of glass. So I do think the parish council have a valid point, and I would like to think that the applicant would concede and break it up when we can actually have then a very nice development sitting right in a prominent position in Port Isaac. So other than that, Mr. Chairman, I think all that needs to be said has been said by the parish council, very nicely put together. They certainly aren't saying no, they are certain, but they are saying, please can we agree with the AONB unit and the conservation officer, who aren't saying they are happy. They are merely, as Councillor Williams says, saying it's more palatable. So it's not an endorsement for them, which gives me the concern, which is why I asked for it to be brought today. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, my apologies for overlooking it on that one. Coming now then to questions of the case officer. Are there any questions of the case officer, please, for clarification purposes? Again, there's nothing showing. Is that correct, Vice Chair?
That is correct, Chairman.
Right.
Apologies, I'm having a few connection problems here myself.
Lovely. Okay. In that case, into open debate. Who would like to start the ball rolling, please? Right. We had Sam Tamlin. Councillor Tamlin, you came in first, followed by Councillor Foote.
I just beat him to the chase there, didn't I? I've got to agree with the parish council here. It looks like it's right on a gateway to the conservation area. I myself have had similar issues in a conservation area in my division, and you walk around that footpath, you come around from inside an AONB, you're still inside the AONB and go into a conservation area, and this building will have, I don't know if we can get the slide up with the north facing view. There's a huge amount of,
no doubt we can.
That window is extremely large, and it isn't like anything else within the conservation area at all. I think the parish council is being quite reasonable in what they're suggesting, and I'd like to recommend refusal on it because I don't think it's in keeping with the conservation area.
Fine, certainly, Tam, that's okay. Next one speaking is Jesse. Councillor
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I've got similar concerns with the glazing, and I'm conscious that we do get feedback from our Cornwall AONB officers. I'm not sure we always give them the weight that they're due. So I agree with the parish council, and I agree with Councillor Mould's view. I'm just not quite there yet, so I'm happy to listen to the rest of the debate.
Right. Okay, no seconding for Sam. No,
Not at the moment, no.
no, that's okay, Jesse. Derek, you're next up. Councillor Holly, followed by Councillor May.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I will second Sam because I have concerns about this one. I think this would set an unfortunate precedent within the conservation area for replacement of ordinary windows with bigger windows looking out across the bay. And I totally understand why the residents would like to move in there, would want this, but I just think Sam's right. This is just not. I don't think it's done much of a chance because if the planning officer agrees and the conservation officer, and I just cannot understand where the conservation is on this, agrees. But nevertheless, I don't like it. I think it is inappropriate, and I'm sure the architect could do better to make the windows more acceptable in terms of the way they're designed and framing. So I can't support it as it is. Everything else about it, fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Derek. Councillor May, Mary, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think Councillor Holly has said it all. I don't quite know what policies we can use. On page 75, they are quoting policy 2 and policy 23, but maybe the planning officer can come in with some wording.
Yeah, we'll come across to Davina shortly on that. Oh, sorry, Amy shortly on that one, or Davina, whichever.
And I know we keep saying, Chairman, that the precedent won't be set, but it will be set. And I think, you've got some really, really good viewpoints here, and I think they should be listened to. For people who live in conservation areas, they've got to do certain things, and new builds should follow along on those lines. Conservation areas have guidelines, and the guidelines, I think, should be adhered to. Thank you.
Fair comment, Mary. Yes. Councillor Craig, Nick.
Thank you, Chairman. Nothing further to add, actually. I agree with what's been said.
Okay, that's fine. Sam, I see your hand up again. Is it?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just from a policy point of view, I wanted to go with policy 24 because I don't think it maintains the special character and appearance of the conservation area.
Yeah. And Derek, did you want to add anything to that? Come in as well, if you like.
No, thank you. That's fine.
Right. Across to Amy or Davina for a follow-up.
Yeah, hi, Chair. Oh. I was going to say I have got a reason for refusal drafted, which I can read out.
Yes, if you will, please.
A second. So what I drafted was the proposed dwelling by reasons of siting, bulk and design, which includes large full-length windows, would introduce a prominent new form of development at odds to attributes of development in the surrounding conservation area and jarring to the landscape of the surrounding area of outstanding natural beauty. The application is therefore not sustainable development and is contrary to the aims and intentions of policies 2, 12, 21, 23 and 24 of the Cornwall Local Plan and paragraphs 170, 172, 184, 192, 193, 194 and 196 of the National Planning Policy Framework.
Thank you very much, Amy. That's no doubt exactly what Sam and Derek have in front of them. Is that correct?
Chair.
I have all those listed.
Yeah, lovely. Happy with that. Right, in that case, Rowena, over to you for a roll call, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So it has been proposed by Councillor Tamlin, seconded by Councillor Holly, that the application be refused. Please indicate how you wish to vote when I call your name. Councillor Craker?
For refusal.
Councillor Foot?
For refusal.
Councillor Flashman?
Against.
Councillor Greenslade?
Against.
Councillor Holly?
For refusal.
Councillor Jordan?
For refusal.
Councillor Long?
For refusal.
Councillor May?
For refusal.
Councillor Pascoe?
For refusal.
Councillor Pugh?
For refusal.
Councillor Tamlin?
For refusal.
Councillor Parsons?
For.
And Councillor Batters?
For refusal.
Thank you. So, Chairman, this application has been refused by 11 votes to 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, are you sure about those two refusals, the two against? I think they're against.
I think it was the way they worded it, Derek. Is everyone who voted happy with the fact they were voting against? Because that was unanimous, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yes,
sorry. So can Councillor Flashman confirm what I've got, that you voted against refusal? Is that correct or not?
No.
You voted for refusal, did you?
I voted against refusal.
Against, that's what I've got.
Right.
Thank you.
So,
and Councillor Greenslade, can you confirm whether you voted against refusal?
Yes, I can confirm. I believe I was muted at the time.
Okay, so in that case, it still stands. I have a record that we have 11 members voting in favour of refusal and 2 against. So yeah, the motion is carried anyway. It has been refused.
Right.
Thank you.
And everyone, all members are happy with that, I take it? That's correct. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. In that case now, Councillor Parsons obviously will be leaving us at this stage, but we now move on to our final case. I would presume you all want to push forward on this rather than have another break.
Yeah.
Anyone urgently need a break here?
No, I think we should carry on, Chairman.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Fine.
Carry on.
We will do in that case. PA 20/03517, Hawthorns Higher Larrick Tripullet Lanson, as we call it, and it's being presented by Richard White.
Chairman, can I just clarify before we go to the presentation that Councillor Parsons has left the meeting because he did declare an interest.
Yes.
Just to like to confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, across to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hear you fine.
Well, I'll just share my presentation.
Yes, there it is. All clear. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, this is a full application for the change of use from a farm dwelling to an unrestricted residential property. The key issues, it's whether there's been established that there is no longer a need for the agriculturally tied dwelling in relation to the holding itself and the local area as a whole. This is a location plan showing the site context in relation to High Larrick. This is a slightly more detailed site plan showing the application site to the north of the settlement. We've also shown on this the black dotted line is the settlement boundary for High Larrick. That's as set out in the Lezant neighbourhood plan which has been made. This is an aerial view of the subject property to the north of the settlement. You can see the main collection of properties to the south of it. Again, the location plan showing the associated land to the north of the building. This is an aerial photo from the sales particulars for the property. Yeah, showing the site context. So the balance considerations. Whether the agricultural dwelling is no longer justified by the farming activities at High Larrick itself. Marketing of the property is considered robust and demonstrates there's no local demand for the agricultural dwelling. And on the final point, the dwelling is now included within the High Larrick settlement boundary as defined by the Lezant neighbourhood development plan which has been made. The recommendation is to approve the application. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Our first speaker is Ian Nash from Lezant Parish Council. Are you there, Mr. Nash? Hello, Mr. Nash, Ian Nash? Do we have anything, Angela?
Yes, he is present at the moment, and he's not muted.
Hi, Mr. Nash. Can you speak to us, please? You're saying he is on the line, but not speaking. Is that right, Angela?
Yes, he's on the line, and it's not muted, so I don't understand why we can't hear anything.
Mr. Nash, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Right.
Hello?
Hi. I can hear you now, and you can hear me, can you?
I can, yes.
Fine. Okay, you have 3 minutes to speak your case. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end, and if you can remain on the line for any questions and clarification that may come your way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, where you go.
Right, good afternoon, Chairman and Planning Committee and officers. I'm Ian Nash, Chairman of Lezant Parish Council. At our meeting, Parish Council team meeting on Tuesday last week, I was asked just to reiterate our concerns over this planning application. So they are as already documented, the property should be marketed for a longer period to ensure and prove that there are no potential buyers who fit the requirements of the tie. And secondly, once the agricultural tie is removed, it cannot be restored and removes the potential resource for those working in agriculture. It may also set a precedent. And I think councillors were concerned that it's a privilege for all agricultural tied properties to have an application considered where it wouldn't normally in normal planning conditions, and it just is a very serious thing to be considered when lifting an agricultural condition. So I think the fear was that potentially in the future there could be a need for the property. So it's just that's what councillors wanted to impart. That's the end of my statement. Thank you.
Fine, thank you. If there are any questions of clarification, please show. I would like to say at this point, Mr. Nash, no doubt you've read the land agent's report. Would you not accept that is fairly accurate in this case? I mean, especially the final paragraph.
Yes, I've read the it's just that it's quite a big thing. We've got a number of agricultural clause properties in the parish that have come before, and I think it's just something which parish councillors were concerned about. I know that the property is within the north in our parish plan now, neighbourhood plan, but that was a matter of pragmatism, I believe.
Yeah, it was only the fact, obviously, we have to be guided to some degree by the land agent's report, but he does clarify most of the reasons possibly that your council are opposing this. But
this was considered 3 months ago now, and there's been a delay in this coming to your discussion.
Well, the agent's report.
No, sorry. The parish council initially discussed this. It was 3 months ago. It was our June meeting, which again was our first Teams meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. We have Councillor Greenslade with a question. Fred.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I wonder if the parish council representative could tell us, please, how long this agricultural tie has been in place.
I believe it's something like 18 years, I believe.
Okay. And that was when the building was constructed, I suppose, was it?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Jim here. Could I ask a question, please?
Yes, Jim. Come in if you like. Yeah.
It's to the parish council representative. Could you tell me, you did mention about other agricultural tied properties in the Lesant parish. How far are they away from the actual village? Roughly.
I can think of one in particular that would be within the confines of the hamlet. It's not that hamlet, it's another one in our parish. That's just one off the top of my head. And it is very close. And in fact, a lot of people wouldn't realise it had an agricultural tie, I think, if they went through the village.
And that's still being used by agricultural warranted, is it?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
It certainly has the tie.
Councillor Pascoe, Jane.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Actually, Jim's you beat me to it. I was going to ask, are the other agricultural tied properties within the settlement boundary? Because that would make a difference. But also, can you tell me how long this property has been marketed?
I believe it was initially marketed about 12 months ago. I think it was April 2019 that it was in a statement I've read. It was originally put on the market.
Thank you, Mr. Nash.
Yeah, I think also you could confirm that shortly, Jane, if you wanted to, with Richard.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Mr. Nash, your council's voting, was it unanimous or was there a split?
There were 8 members present. We have a complement of 10. 8 were present, and it was unanimous.
Unanimous, right. Thank you very much. No other questions are showing on my board. In which case, I thank you, Mr. Nash. You're welcome to listen to this on live stream, of course. So watch it on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attendance. Mark Bunt, are you there, Mark Bunt?
Good afternoon, Chairman. I'm here. Yes.
Sounds like a television program, isn't it? Are you there, Mark Bunt? Come on down.
Come on down, indeed.
Welcome.
Yeah.
you have 3 minutes to give your case, and we will give you 30 seconds warning before the end. So away you go. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman and Councillors. Yes, my name is Mark Bunt of Kibbles in Liskeard, agent for Mr and Mrs Parsons, the applicants. So Kibbles were instructed to submit a change of use application in relation to Hawthorns from a farm dwelling to an unrestricted residential dwelling following completion of a 12-month marketing exercise in May of this year. So briefly, the Hawthorns is a detached bungalow within the hamlet of Higher Larwick and about 2 miles from the principal holding for which the consent was originally justified. So the principal planning consideration as required by your local plan is whether it has been established there is no longer a need for the agricultural occupation condition on this dwelling. So in order to demonstrate this position, a marketing exercise is required. I confirm that Kibbles from our Launceston office have marketed the property from April 2019 and it currently remains on the open market. During this period, the property was extensively marketed via property portals, social media, local office representation, full sales particulars prepared. Further, despite the market for property increasing throughout this period of marketing, a price reduction was also made to try and secure a sale. So during the period of marketing and up to the date of the application was submitted, no offers were received for the property. Since submission of our application, the property has remained on the market, and I confirm there have been no viewings or offers made. An important consultee in your council's is your council's land agent, who concludes that the agricultural occupancy condition has no future purpose and should be lifted. This is on the basis of an examination of the thorough marketing exercise undertaken, and also on the basis the property is situated 2 miles from the main farm holding. Therefore, it serves no functional purpose in its current location. Your planning officer, who supports the application, also notes that it is not situated in an isolated location and is within the settlement boundary for Higher Larwick, as defined by the Lezant neighbourhood plan, referring map A1B, and consent may well be forthcoming for resident development of the site on an unrestricted basis. So I therefore consider that the requirements of the local plan have been met and the application should be supported. And I think that statement possibly deals with some of the questions raised from your councillors just earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you can hold for the moment, please, Mark. Are there any questions? Yes, there are. Just come up in front of me. Councillor Greenslade.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. You mentioned that the property is 2 miles away from the farm holding. Well, surely when the property was granted agricultural status, it was 2 miles away then as well, wasn't it?
Councillor, I believe it was. Obviously, I wasn't involved in that application. That was actually 1988. I think that was a question earlier as to when the application was first granted. Yes. And I think circumstances have changed, obviously, quite considerably since that time. But I wasn't involved in that original application.
Has the farm holding got smaller then, do you think?
I believe it has, yes. I understand that's the case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Councillor Moe, Carol, clarification.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Presumably, we have to assume that the condition was put there for it to be built as part of the farm originally. So now it's been marketed as a farm worker's dwelling, which would imply that another farmer or somebody would have to buy it for a farm worker to live in. How many of these tied arrangements do you sell successfully, please? With the tie attached?
Very, very few, Councillor. I have been involved in a number of marketing sort of exercises, and rarely do we have people that come along that satisfy the tie and are in a sort of proceedable position. So not very often.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification for Councillor Mary?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Are these properties usually for rent? I don't know that they're usually sold, are they? And could we perhaps have a couple of paragraphs of the advert that was put in, please, read out to us?
Yeah, I've got a copy of the sales particulars in front of me. I think that was included with the application, and I'm not sure whether you have site of that.
If you hold for a second, Mark. Richard, I should say. Richard, is anything to show on that or not?
Sorry, I was just waiting for my microphone to unmute. The sales particulars were included in the supporting statement with the application, so that's all obviously available to view online. Obviously the document that was used for the sales particulars is all available to view, and includes all of the details of the property, including reference to the agricultural occupancy condition that is on the property.
Right, but nothing you can show for Councillor Mole? Sorry, Councillor May.
I think it's going to be difficult for me to do that on the presentation.
Right, okay, thank you. Mary, is that okay?
No, I don't think I got the answer, Ree. Are there many intended persons that don't they usually rent and not buy? And could we not have a couple of paragraphs, as they're not in our paperwork, from the actual sale?
Can you read something out of that case, Mark?
I can. I've got them in front of me, so I'll just sort of briefly describe what it consists of. So front page is a sort of a drone photograph of the front of the property. Inside of that, there are then some bullet points that summarise what it is. So I'll just go through some of those. So first one is a 3-4 bedroom detached bungalow on a good sized plot. Second one, subject to an agricultural occupancy restriction. Beautifully southerly facing rural location in quiet hamlet. Then it talks about the accommodation. Then it says rare opportunity in quality farming district, convenient location between Shabullet and South Pedowin. Then it goes in on pages 3 and 4 to full description of the accommodation. I could read all that out if you wanted, but there's 2 pages of it.
No, it's not necessary. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah. Okay, Mary. Any other questions for clarification of the speaker, please? It doesn't appear so, Mark. So thank you very much for attending. You can obviously watch it on live stream.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. We now go into open debate.
Chairman, can I just say something a second? I had at the beginning of the meeting given apologies from Councillor Burden, yes. And apparently he has, although he's not in attendance, he actually didn't give his apologies. I'd just like to clarify that he's just not in attendance. So if we can leave it at that, thank you.
And he's not sent anything in either, has he?
No.
That's why I moved on, sort of things. I appreciate he wasn't involved on this day. I mean, going into open debate, then
Jim,
beg your pardon?
Jim here.
Okay, Jim, I'll put you down. I mean, my opinion on this is that sitting on planning over the past 2 councils, quite a few of these have come up with with agricultural restrictions on them, and the bottom line is we've quite often relied upon the land agent's report as to whether it is justifiable or not. And there's times we've argued against the land agent's report when it's someone trying to build an agricultural with an agricultural condition in the woods because they've had a garage or something there, and we argue with that, or we're guided by that. And I think invariably we're guided by it most times, and I see no problems with this particular application. I've already proposed something today, so I won't at the moment, but I'm in favour of it based purely on the land agent's report. So we'll now go to I'm just looking here, Councillor May. Oh, you took your hand down again, so we'll come in. Sorry,
Chairman, I was only going to say that I think Neil Burden has had quite a serious operation. His appendix burst about 3 weeks ago.
So I understand, Mary. Yes, I didn't want to make I didn't want to put that out on the air, but yes, you're right. So
well, I think we should let him have a little bit of sympathy, maybe.
Yes. Well, I think you'll all love to give Neil some sympathy, But thank you very much. Okay.
Chairman, did we do questions of the officer? I just wanted to double check.
Oh, beg your pardon. Yes, my mistake. Yeah, questions of the officer in that case for Richard. And right, Councillor Pascoe.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted clarification from the officer that he is satisfied with the length of time that this property has been marketed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, I think we are. It was early April 2019 when it was first when marketing commenced. There's obviously been a price reduction during that time, and as the agent's already clarified, that the marketing is continued to date with no further interest. So obviously that's a reasonable expanse of time for the property to be marketed. You will see there was an update to the report, so we just checked the land agent that they were absolutely satisfied with the marketing that was carried out, and they clarified that was the case, and that the price was suitable to reflect the occupancy condition as well. So I think the marketing, we're satisfied that it's robust and the price is correct, and the duration of time is acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Councillor Greensay, Fred.
Thank you. To the officer, please. This has been granted permission 18 years ago with a constraint on it. In your view, do you think that would have been permitted in the countryside without a farming attachment?
Obviously, the planning policy context, the permission was granted in 1988, so it's significantly different planning policy context. Interestingly, it wasn't submitted as an agricultural dwelling based on the description at the time, but a condition to restrict its occupancy was placed on the building. Now, I don't know, obviously it's going back some time, so I don't know the exact details of the conversations that went behind that, but obviously the occupancy condition was put on there. I think interestingly that the planning policy context has changed quite significantly to the point now where, as referred to in the report, the property is now included within the settlement boundary for High Larrick. So if this, obviously an open market dwelling now under the policy context would be accepted in this particular location, forming part of the settlement. Equally, there are some permissions on the opposite side of the road. More recently, within an allowed appeal for a dwelling was allowed on the opposite side of the road to this particular property as well. So it's well within settlement, and I think now, in terms of an open market dwelling, it's a location where that would be looked at favorably based on the policy. But obviously, we're looking at the change of use of the property, and we're also satisfied that the marketing campaign.
Thank you. Chairman, I agree largely with what you have said about this application, and we normally do go on the side of approval, but it does concern me that we are losing agricultural sort of tied buildings quite a lot all over the county, and I don't think we can continue in that vein forevermore. But on this one, I think we should go along with the recommendation.
Thank you, Fred. Derek Holly, Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, Richard, from what you, first of all, isn't it 32 years, not 18 years, that the permission was granted with an agricultural tie, but doesn't matter really. I think that, well, from what you said, that the whole area has a sufficient number of agriculturally tied buildings in it. Is that what you said? In other words, does this deplete the stock that would be necessary to serve the area?
I think probably the main point to make there is that that's why we undertake the sort of marketing to test the market. What is their demand for that particular type of property at the time of assessment, and we would do that with any application of this nature, or certainly lifting of an agricultural occupancy condition. So that's the best way we can test it, and that's based on good practice that stemmed from planning policy guidance note 7 some years ago, and it's still used as an appropriate way to test the market in terms of the need for the agriculture.
Okay. Councillor Pugh, Richard?
Yeah, thank you. I think what the selling agents are looking for was a very, very rare species, I'm afraid. So I think on this occasion, I'll support the county land agent, Chairman. You wouldn't expect it any other way, I don't think.
Well, I know that's right. That's true. Carol, any questions or clarification?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Can I assume that? So how is this now inside the settlement boundary? Have the parish boundaries changed over time? Have I?
Sorry, hopefully I've unmuted. Yeah, so the Lezant neighbourhood development plan was made on the 11th of March 2020, and the parish council decided to draw settlement boundaries around those. There's some small settlements within the parish. High Larrick is one of the settlements identified, and the black dotted line that was shown in the presentation is the boundary line that they've chosen to be included in one of the maps that go with the neighbourhood plan.
Okay, so it was moved within the neighbourhood plan, not through any parish boundary that was done through the council or anything. So it's on the. Okay, fine. That's lovely.
Any other questions for clarification of the officer, please? No? Right. In that case, we go into open debate. Who would like to start the ball rolling?
Yeah, Jim.
All right, Jim, do you want to start open debate? Yeah. Start the ball rolling?
Yeah. Like most farms...
Can you speak up a little bit, Jim? A bit closer?
Yes. Like most farms, the farming practices have changed on this farm. They've been a dairy farm all their lives. The dairy has now ceased. Figures in the country do state that there was one agricultural dairy leaving the industry every day of the week, and at one stage there were 10 to 12 leaving in a week. I think it's back now to about one a week because they cannot financially support these small dairy farms. The problems are the labour force, the cost of the milk. It was only on the farming programme a couple of weeks ago where the farmers are getting more and more intensified, and they can produce milk obviously a lot cheaper in bigger units, and the small unit has fallen by the wayside. So originally when this one was passed, it was built or passed close to the village, but we understand from the parish council there are several agricultural type properties within their parish, and I feel the loss of this one would not be detrimental. I certainly should support the land agent for doing an in-depth view on the farm ability to service this, and I would like to support the application and propose that we accept this and approve the application that's in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is Nick Craker. Nick.
Thank you, Chairman. I will happily second the Jim's proposal to approve as set out in the report. I think farming has changed over the last 32 years, and it will continue to change over the next 32 years. So whilst there's no demand for this agricultural dwelling in this particular location at this particular time, who knows what will happen over the next 32 years. And we do see other applications coming forward over Cornwall for new dwellings where they're needed. Agree this is not particularly needed at this time, and the marketing exercise has demonstrated that. So I will second the Jim's proposal.
Thank you very much. Councillor Greensay, Fred, I see you took your hand down. Was that intentional?
Yes, Chairman. I think what I would wish to express has been said.
Thank you very much. Jesse Foote, Councillor Foote.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I don't see any strong reasons for refusal here. The property's been marketed since April of last year. That's over a year and a half with a price reduction. The county land agent is in support, and the fact that it's now in the development settlement boundary of the Lizant NDP is really strong reason to support. So I'll be supporting this application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pascoe, Jane.
Yes, I was going to say that as the officer is satisfied with the marketing exercise, we heard from the professional estate agent as well. I also agree that it's in the neighbourhood development plan permitted boundary, and the county land agent is very happy about it. I will be supporting this.
Thank you very much. And finally, hopefully, Carol, Councillor Mould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to be the voice of dissent here, but and I hear what everybody else is saying, and I probably will land up supporting it. But we asked for these conditions to be put on these dwellings, and I wonder whether it would be there if it wasn't for the argument around the farm. And clearly, it's been marketed, but clearly it's not going to sell because it's got a tied attachment to it, and so it would only normally be bought by another farm worker or a farm. And I expect the price was beyond anybody buying it for one of their farm workers to live in. And it just seems to me that the neighbourhood plan has given them a prime opportunity now to have this condition lifted to make a very nice open market house. And I don't actually agree with lifting conditions. If they're good enough to put a condition on to start with, then they're a good enough condition to leave it there in perpetuity. But I understand where we are, and I just wanted to say I will reluctantly support this application.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you just said. I think Jim might have summed it up just now by saying what a change there is in marketing and the milk and beef world and one thing and another these days that do influence this. But I appreciate exactly what you say. And we are now down to no speakers left. So in that case, we'll go to the vote, which was proposed by Councillor Flashman, seconded by Councillor Craker, to go in line with recommendations. So across to you, Rowena.
Thank you, Chairman. If you could indicate how you wish to vote for approval, which is the proposal when I read your name. Councillor Craker?
For.
Councillor Foot?
For.
Councillor Flashman?
For.
Councillor Greenslade?
For.
Councillor Holly?
For.
Councillor Jordan?
For.
Councillor Long?
For.
Councillor May?
Reluctantly for.
Councillor Mould?
Reluctantly for.
Councillor Pascoe?
For.
Councillor Pugh?
For.
Councillor Tamlin?
For.
And Councillor Batters?
For.
Thank you. That has been unanimously approved, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Well, that brings us to the end of our agenda for today. So I thank all the members plus the telephone calls, etc., for attending. And unless there's anything anyone else wants to add at this point in time, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Councillor Holly, we are still on live stream, I would remind you.
Indeed, Mr. Chairman, and it is relevant. We've had two comments today that really should have come better prepared. One from South West Water, and one didn't come from South West Water. And when we ask South West Water for a comment on sewage, I think we should expect an actual reply and not a negative response, just no response at all. And then we know where we are exactly. And I think the comment from the education teams in future needs firming up, Mr. Chairman. Right. Thank you.
This hopefully you're leading the team today. Davina, you can take note of that, please.
Yep, certainly, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Well, in that case, if there's nothing else, if you want to hang on after Angela tells us the live stream's ended, if you want to say anything, feel free to do so. But thank you very much for attending, and thank all the callers for attending. And good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Chairman, Angela from Democratic Services. I've asked for confirmation that the live stream is being turned off, but I haven't received anything yet, so it might